wingam.com.
With Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin every morning starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN News.
It's the ESPN Dayton hashtag We Want to Get Paid Cash Contest. Be listening every hour for the word that wins and enter it at wingam.com. WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
All right, and we are not back. Yeah, we're back. We're back on a Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
We only took about a 12-hour break, and we're right back at it, right here where we were yesterday. Welcome in, everybody. Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash with you here on a Tuesday. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kevin Nash on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. So I got it all out of my system. I'm over the ass whooping from over the weekend, Kev. Everything is good. I know you were worried. I know you were concerned, but yeah, everything is good.
Even after last night?
What happened last night?
Your Dallas Cowboys lost also.
Nah. I don't claim them on this year. On my fan taxes, I'm not going to claim the Dallas Cowboys.
How many fumbles did Zeke have last night?
First of all, I was one on the record saying, don't pay Zeke. Even before the 2 fumbles last night. But that dude has not been Zeke since he put pen on paper. Zeke has not been Zeke. When they keep talking about, feed him, that's all he's been doing is eating since signing that paper.
Weren't people talking about Andy Dalton was Dak Prescott's equal?
Did I say that?
No, not you. You weren't that crazy.
I mean, the numbers, I think it was Colin Cowherd who put like a side-by-side stat line up at the two, and like they're identical as far as like the first 4 years of their career, and they use 4 because that's what number Dak is in. Right. Like Dak's numbers are identical to Andy Dalton's first 4 years. And look, and by the way, Andy Dalton is what it is. I mean, anyone who thought Andy was going to go in there and save the day, the problem is that Dak Prescott playing, I mean, he was the number 1 rated quarterback when, the first however many weeks that he was healthy as far as total touchdowns, total yards, pass efficiency, everything. That was Dak. Now, again, he wasn't getting credit for it because of how bad the Cowboys are all around and how, of course, a lot of those stats come when the offense starts slow and then he's getting those late in the second half. So it is what it is. But Andy Dalton's not the problem in Dallas. Yeah, it's not like in Cincinnati when everyone said, man, if he just has an offensive line to protect him, he can make plays with his wide receivers. No, Dallas has a lot of holes.
Yeah, man, that offensive line isn't what it was.
No, it's definitely not. Injuries have, obviously destroyed that team on both sides of the ball, but Dallas is bad. A lot to get into today. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. He'll be joining us coming up in hour 2, 4:30. We'll talk with him about your Buckeyes, about the Browns, about the Bengals, all the top headlines from the NFL Week 6, and getting you prepared for heading in to Week 7. We're going to talk about Tua Tagovailoa coming up here around the corner. I joked earlier today on Facebook, and you would have thought I made a Jesus joke in church. All I said was that, Tua Tagovailoa now being named the starter, that ain't good news for Joe Burrow, who will now be the 3rd best rookie quarterback in the NFL here in 2020. Actually, I don't even know why I said it was a joke. That's actually how I believe it's going to end up turning out when it's all said and done. But that's a conversation for later coming up in the show. Let's talk a little college football. Yesterday, we spent a lot of time talking NFL. We talked Browns, we talked Bengals. But I want to get into this college football discussion, too, because the AP Top 25 came out. And again, I know everybody says those polls don't matter. And every week, I hear the same thing. Those polls don't matter. But every week, someone has this very, aggressive, hot take, mad take, angry take on, can you believe what they did in the polls? Can you believe Georgia's still in the top 4? Why you care? Why are you mad? These polls don't matter, right? Angry about it. That is why these polls continue to come out each week. Congratulations. After a huge week for the Ohio State Buckeyes in Week 7 of the college football season, the Buckeyes moved up an entire spot. They are now the number 5 team in the country. Congratulations, Ohio State. You worked your tail off this past Saturday. Whatever you did in practice really impressed. All right, really impressed, the panel of sports writers and broadcasters that vote for that AP Top 25. So congratulations, guys. You worked hard to move up. Cincinnati, you must have struggled because you moved moved down. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason for it. The Bearcats moved down. Notre Dame puts up an embarrassing effort over the weekend that still results in a win. Congratulations. They move up a spot. The top four stays the same. Clemson, 54 first place votes. 54 first place. They remain number 1, Alabama 2, Notre Dame 3. Georgia comes in at number 4 despite losing. And it's amazing to me because Alabama has the best win of the season so far. Mm-hmm. And they didn't jump over Clemson. I don't think Clemson's moving from that spot. Folks, Ohio State beats Penn State. I don't care if they beat them by 30 in week 2. They're not like Clemson. That is their spot to lose. The only way Clemson gets bumped from that number 1 spot is if they lose, and I don't anticipate that happening, at least not till the end of the season if Notre Dame can give them some kind of run. But Notre Dame did not look good offensively over the weekend. Ooh. How much college football did you watch over the weekend?
I didn't watch a ton. The only game I watched from beginning to the end, 2 games I watched. I watched the Bama, Georgia game, and I watched the Florida State, North Carolina game. I watched those 2 games, and I was actually out and about with the wife. So I was really kind of watching on my phone and everything like that. So I really didn't watch a ton. But it's kind of like Keith Byers said on Monday, with the Big Ten officially kicking off on Friday, everybody's back. Well, everybody's back besides the Pac-12 and the MAC, but basically,
and we all know Michigan's always back. So
so a lot of the big dogs are back. So I think last week was really the first weekend where it really felt like some college football was going on. You had a real big matchup at night with Bama and Georgia. Obviously, I was locked in on the Florida State game. They actually won a game, to my surprise. So now we got the Buckeyes kicking off on Saturday at noon versus Nebraska. The weather's changing. It's really feeling like college football. And this is something that we all got to get used to, but I kind of like it. There aren't any tune-up games. The tune-up games are over with. If you weren't watching college football before, locked in hardcore, and you're really only a Big Ten person, it's big time matchups from the word go because they're conference games. We can talk about how good Ohio State is versus the Big Ten as a whole, but the second week we're at Penn State. Buckle up. It's going to be a good one. I'm here for it. I'm here for it all.
Penn State, of course, without their best player, Micah Parsons, and of course, they're not just without him. They're without their star running back. Yeah. He could potentially be out for the year, and even if not, he's definitely going to be out in week 2 against Ohio State coming up around the corner. You got Michigan and Minnesota kicking off the season coming up this Friday night. So it is what it is at this point.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Minnesota and Michigan.
The ABC wasted no time in making sure that they got a Big Ten game in there. Tyler Schroeder says Ohio State's whole schedule is a tune-up as far as that's concerned. I agree. Penn State, I think we're giving it the Penn State treatment because it's Penn State, but again, I still don't think they're in the same I don't think they're anywhere close to being as good as Ohio State. I don't think they're in that conversation.
I think we can say that as fans, but I hope that's not the attitude that the players or the coaching staff have. I hope the coaches and the players have the mindset of let's go handle business and be that business mind attitude. I know as fans we can overlook teams left and right, but what happens when a team overlooks another opponent and loses? We get open in arms. So I hope that the players and the coaches are doing their due diligence and working on it from week to week. We can look at Nebraska and we can look at Adrian Martinez. It's not a good quarterback and all that type of stuff. Well, if he's not a good quarterback, show me. Do exactly what y'all did to him last time y'all played him. Make him complete 3 passes, and 3 of them was to our DBs.
Yeah, and look, we do this every year. Every year we try to talk up the Big Ten. We try to talk up Wisconsin. By the way, they are good football teams. Wisconsin's a good football team. Penn State. I'm sure Nebraska is going to be improved. But let's be clear here, as we've talked about, no matter how good these teams are in the Big Ten, there's only one elite level team that has separated themselves, and that's Ohio State. And that's why when people get mad, when people kind of disrespect the Big Ten, you don't got to get defensive over facts. And the fact of the matter is that the Big Ten, even a very good Penn State team, the gap between them and Ohio State is so significant that it results to those blowouts. Mm. And it's unfortunate because Ohio State gets penalized from a perception standpoint when they do their part. They carry their end of the bargain. They recruit at such a high level. They win games and they blow out. They blow out their opponents no matter who they play in the Big Ten. And I don't care about the Iowa-Purdue game. Those are outliers. Those are, upsets. Those are upsets for a reason. So when I talk about these games, it's like, so even when Ohio State gets a top 10 Penn State team or a top 10 Wisconsin, like last year, we're watching the game and we're like all doing this, or at least I am. No, that's not a top 10 team. Like Wisconsin last year, when it was 1 or when it was 2 versus 5 or whatever it was, that's not a top 5 team. That's not a top 10 team. They played Penn State, same thing, just absolutely routed them. Oh, that's not a top 5. That's not a top 10
Did
team.
they rout Penn State last year?
Yes. They routed everybody last year. They didn't have one the only close game they had last year was in the Big Ten championship game. At least they had it was a close first half. They routed everybody last year.
I thought the game was close.
They didn't have one close game.
I won't say like close, but like I thought the game was like
maybe within 4 possessions
inside the fourth quarter. That's neither here nor there.
I mean, the game it did have a fourth quarter. To be fair,
it was 28-17. That's not a rout.
That's a rout. That's a rout.
Are we really about to have this?
That's a rout. I mean, they really should have put out more points on Penn State, but Penn State's not good. Not as good as Ohio State. They're good. They're just not as good as Ohio State. So, but that's why we do it.
11-point win is a rout?
I'm telling you, Penn State's. I mean, let's be honest here. They're one of the biggest choking teams in the country. Every year we try to build up Penn State to say that they are this, that they're the second powerhouse in the Big Ten, and every year they lose to Ohio State or they lose the game that they should.
I remember this game, because it was 21-17 going to the fourth quarter. It's not a rout.
It did not feel like that though. Like
it cannot feel like no point. That's the score.
At no point did you feel that Ohio State was losing that game. Penn State is not a threat. No one's a threat in the Big Ten this year. Nobody, not even close.
I just want to be clear. 11-point victory is a rout.
Penn State's not good.
I just want to be clear. That's in the Kinder world. An 11-point victory is a rout.
Well, it's a close game for an Ohio State game. Then fine. But double-digit win's a double-digit win.
And you're up by 4 going into the fourth quarter, and the game's not.
I don't care about how close. I mean, it was 0-0 when the game started. Man, it was close at the beginning. It was 0-0 when the kickoff. But I'm just saying.
Okay.
Like no one's going to come close to beating Ohio State. Shorty says yes, in the same world that Kinder thinks Baker is good.
I'm just saying, man. Like I'll
never live this Baker thing down, man. Like
you're definitely never going not off that performance from Sunday. Definitely not. You better hope he does what he does against the Bengals, man.
Well, we'll see what Tannehill does this week against Pittsburgh. I can't wait. It's gonna be a double-edged sword for me because I hate both teams, but I think I'm going for the Steelers more just so Shorty will shut up. That's basically what it is. You hear that, Shorty? I'm going for the Steelers this weekend just to shut you up.
Kiss of death. Kiss of death. Kenner kiss of death.
So that means the Titans are winning.
Yeah, you better put your money on the Titans.
Which is a win-win for me as far as that's concerned. But no, it's going to be like, by the way, in Clemson. So the one thing I'm curious about too, like we know Clemson, we know Alabama, we know Ohio State are going to rack up those 1, 2, and 3 in the playoff. I'm still curious who's going to be kind of sniffing around for that 4th spot. I think it's going to be a jumbled, I don't want to say mess. There are going to be a lot of teams in that conversation. There are going to be a lot of teams in that conversation. Mm-hmm. Don Roberts says, then why play? Maybe they should go to another conference. LOL. Come on. Like, as much as we rip Clemson in the ACC, we don't have that same attitude about them. We disrespect Clemson's success and we try to write it off and say, well, they don't play anybody. Well, the Big Ten's better. Well, your argument can't be that our bad teams are better than their bad teams. That's not an argument. So you can't help who you play. And I'm not blaming Ohio State. This isn't a me beating up on Ohio State thing. The reality is Ohio State cannot help who they play in the Big Ten. They can't help that they play Rutgers, Maryland, Indiana, Illinois. They can't help that that's their whole November. They had basically a month and a half off. They'll have a game against Nebraska this weekend. They'll have a real game against Penn State in week 2, and then they're having another bye month. All right, they're having a bye month again because that's bad. In Michigan, the only reason that game at least has some life to it is because it's the rivalry game. Otherwise, that game doesn't worry me either, based on especially recent history as far as that's concerned.
No Nico Collins for Michigan either.
Yeah, like how many of their main guys have you heard being?
Nico Collins, the wide receiver, he opted out. The offensive lineman opted back in. The guy,
I saw that. So that's good.
Taylor, I believe his name is. He's like projected to be like a top 15 pick in the NFL. Tariq Black transferred to Texas, so I'm really not sure who their weapons on the outside are. The wide receivers. I mean, Nico Collins is pretty good, but he's not playing this year for Michigan. Tariq Black's down in Texas, so I'm not sure who the go-to guys for them are this year.
So you have, again, Clemson, Bama, Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. Or I'm sorry, Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, 1, 2, and 3. You're going to have your typical Georgias battling it out for number 4. Some want to argue Penn State, but the reason I can't say Penn State is because they're going to get blown out by Ohio State most likely in week 2. And if they get blown out, that's not good for the Big Ten. It's good for shut up. Maybe 12. They might run the score up and put an old 12 burger on them. You never know. Or it might be really close, like 10 or something. So, but no, in all seriousness, it's like, and by the way, if Penn State loses like that, it's going to be a lot more respected than one of those routes. That Wisconsin game last year was the main one that I was like, yeah, that hurts the Big Ten. That hurts Ohio State. That hurts a lot because they're not going to get the respect for that win. Ohio State ran the table. That's all, that's all you can do. But if you ever slip up along the way, and we do got to really dig deep into your resume to compare, as long as you run the table, all of this doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Like, that's my big thing about all this. But if it does come down to a game gets canceled or Ohio State stubs their toe along the way, that's when the Big Ten not being that strong really does come to play here. Because now it doesn't matter if you want to sit there and crap all over the ACC. Ohio State's probably not going to be battling it out with one loss with the Clemson team. They're going to be battling it out with the one loss Georgia. They'll be battling it out maybe with an undefeated Notre Dame or something. So, or they'll have one loss too. My point is you got to really start looking at the teams that they could potentially be battling it out with for that 4th spot if it comes down to it, if they pick up a loss. So that's all. But yeah, I don't know. Florida's out of the conversation. I heard Cincinnati. I heard Cincinnati this morning. Paul Feinbaum on Get Up and even on Keyshawn's show this morning. I heard a lot of Cincinnati, that Cincinnati, as long as they're undefeated and right there at the top, they're going to get a lot of love because these teams jumbled up in the middle in the top 10 just on the outside looking in. They're not bad teams, but they're not great teams.
Right.
There's only 3 elite teams this year, and that's Ohio, and that's usually the case most years. Yeah. Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama. Then you'll get those, those surge years from LSU, like we saw last year with Joe Burrow, where you had 14 NFL players and everything. It was the perfect storm. But those teams are cyclical. Like they get one good run out of one good recruiting class, and it like every, and Keith Byers talks about that in the Big Ten. You usually get that with Michigan State. You'll get 1 or 2 good solid years out of one class, and then they lose a good bunch of guys, and then they have to reset. Right. It's cyclical as far as that goes. But there's only a few teams that know how to just keep it going regardless. Doesn't matter how many pieces you lose. We saw Ohio State do it from 2015 to 2016. We saw Clemson do it after losing Deshaun Watson. Obviously, it wasn't a complete handoff right to Trevor Lawrence, but Clemson really didn't take a big step backwards. I mean, they just kept on rolling. Alabama, I mean, I saw someone tweet yesterday, does it almost hurt the fact that Alabama's offense has taken 0 hits since moving on from Tua Tagovailoa? Their numbers have not dipped at all. Is that a shot against Tua? Is he a what's that called? A system guy, which, by the way, I hate that phrase, a system quarterback. Everyone's a system quarterback. Everyone is executing their system to some degree.
What do you like, Kenner?
Anything that's not stupid. Like, you got to agree with me on that. Like, a system quarterback, what does that even mean? Because Justin Fields plays in a system. Joe Burrow in Cincinnati plays in a system. LSU played in a system. Everyone has a system. So I don't like that phrase.
Don't like system. Don't like game manager.
No one likes game manager. No one says, I can't wait for my team to get a game manager.
I'm just saying, you got a lot of don't likes out here, man.
A lot of people don't like those. No one says, I can't wait to get our system quarterback or our game manager quarterback.
Hey, man, a lot of system quarterbacks at Alabama hoisted that trophy at the end of the season.
Oh, that's fine. I don't care about that. I mean, in the pros, though. Because we're going to talk about Tua in a moment. I mean, is he a system quarterback, whatever the hell that means? Or is he the real deal? But that's the thing. We talk about that all the time.
I mean, the system is Alabama. I mean, you look at Tua, Ruggs, Judy. Now they got Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, and I'm forgetting the other kids, that Waddle. So it's like, hey, those 3 moved on. Here's 3 new ones. Like, it's the Bama way, man. It's basically what you said about Ohio State, Clemson, and Bama. It's the system is we're an elite program and we get the best talent and we coach up the best talent and we plug them in and they do their thing. Like, that's the system. The system is having a great program.
457-9464. Let's go to Facebook. Again, listen, stream, watch. We are live on 1410 Wing AM, streaming live at wingam.com, and live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page, as well as the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. Go search those, like those, follow along live. Chris Miller says, correction, OSU is number 5 in the AP, Guy. Well, Guy, let's be clear, Guy, sir. boy. All right, let's be clear here. All right, I didn't say that they were not number 5. I'm talking college football playoff, that when we get to the point where we're talking teams 1, 2, and 3, it's most likely going to be Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama as far as the college football playoff is concerned, Guy. So there.
Are you sure today's Tuesday? It feels real Monday-esque.
Why? I was in a great mood yesterday, all things considering.
You are on one, dog. Who was that you're calling Guy, by the way?
His name is Chris Miller.
What's up, Chris? How you doing, Chris?
And I'm sure he's a nice guy.
Thanks for listening,
But he called
Chris.
me Guy. And I know there's a lot of sarcasm behind that. Guy. Like, there's, oh, come on, Guy. Like, you could be better than that, Guy. So there's that, Guy. Anyways. What? Anyway, Chris Miller, the same guy we were just talking about, says the last OSU quarterback that did anything was Mike Tomczak. I'm assuming he's talking, in the NFL, but there you go. Don Roberts says did not play a whole season either, only 10 games, I think. I have to go back to a previous comment for him to get what he's saying. Don Roberts, there we go. Buckeye quarterbacks are system QB. Name one Buckeye quarterback that has started a full season in the NFL. But see, like, that's the thing. I don't care about that. Like, Tim Tebow still, to me, is one of the best all-time college football quarterbacks ever. But I do believe when he went to the NFL and became kind of a punchline, I think it devalued what he accomplished in college. And the same thing for Mark Sanchez at USC. Like, I still think, like, people, when I see him, I always look at him, I'm like, oh man, people mock him all the time. I'm like, he was a great college football quarterback. Yeah. Vince Young, the same thing. He was a great. So I hate when we do that. We're like, and again, it's always big picture with these guys. When you have a great college career, you're expected to go on to the pros. Like Baker Mayfield, he'll never have respect for what he did in college because he's become such a big joke in the NFL now, and that's a lot self-inflicted on his part. He was very cocky, very mouthy. What made him great is also is what's destroying him a little bit, because he's not getting that. Well, he's only in his 3rd year, and he's not getting the benefit of the doubt because he was so unlikable outside of Browns country coming into the NFL. As far as that,
I like Baker.
So
I like Baker, and I'm a Steelers fan. I like Baker when he.
I'm sure you love Baker. I'm sure you love. I wish you could play Baker 16 times a season.
I was in open arms when he planted the flag at the shoe. Did I like it? No, of course not. But my whole motto: if you don't want somebody celebrating on your field, beat them.
So there's that. Well, I will say this: the last Ohio State quarterback that did anything in the NFL, it wasn't Dwayne Haskins. I know that much. I don't know how much of that, too, was obviously the system, the Washington that he ends up into didn't do him any favors as far as that's concerned. All right, folks, we'll step away for a few minutes. But yes, Chris Miller, to go back to you. I know that they are number 5 in the AP. I was joking earlier about how they had such a big weekend that they moved up in the AP polls. They must have really dominated in practice on week 5. But we were talking about the college football playoff. We know which 3 teams are going to be there when it's all said and done. But I was asking who was going to be fighting it out for that 4th spot in the college football playoff. So there you go, Guy. We're good. We're on the same page now. Chris, thanks for commenting, man. I appreciate it. All right. David Shaw says you can be great in college and not have a good NFL career. I agree completely, but I do believe that the last, we are all one of those where what's the last thing you remember about somebody? Mm-hmm. That's why Tim Tebow is more remembered for, he was kind of an enigma in college and in the pros, right? Like, it was
look at Johnny Manziel.
Mm-hmm. And Johnny Manziel was one hell of a college football quarterback. Jameis Winston, we mock him. I do. ESPN's 30 for 30. But he was one hell of a college football quarterback. I loved watching him play in college. So there's that. All right, 457-9464. You are listening to the Justin Kinner Show live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Give Kevin and I a call, 457-9464. We'll be back in just a moment.
Guy.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
We've been expecting you.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be cloudy with a high near 58. Tonight will be mostly cloudy with a chance of showers, a low around 56. And tomorrow will be mostly cloudy with a chance of showers, a high near 71. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
The Advantage program from Stevenson Service Experts takes the stress out of maintaining your home comfort system. Pay no money down, one low monthly rate, and nothing for maintenance and repairs. The Advantage program from Stevenson Service Experts. Learn more at 866-EXPERTS or StevensonHVAC.com. See website for license details.
Adding a leader you need right when you need them. That's how sports teams get ahead and how your business can too. LinkedIn will match the right talent with your open roles fast. Post a job and you'll get great candidates with the right mix of skills, interest, and experience. So every hire you make is a win for your business. Go to linkedin.com/sports and get $50 off your first job post. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
Progressive presents The Sounds of the Old World. The year is 2019, and someone is getting up to use the bathroom at the stadium.
Excuse me? Excuse me? Oh, sorry. Excuse me? You mind if I just squeeze by here?
This has been The Sounds of the Old World. Brought to you by Progressive, where drivers can still switch and save like it's 2019.
Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
T-Mobile for Business knows saving time and money is important for your business. That's why we're introducing Microsoft 365 on us, now included in our best business plans. With Office apps, Microsoft Teams, cloud storage, and more, Microsoft 365 on us gives you the tools you need to run your business. Stop by a T-Mobile store today. Qualifying plan required. Contact us to activate. 1 license per line, max 2 per account. Third-party terms apply. See T-Mobile.com for plan details.
Capital One checking and savings accounts have no fees or minimums, and a top-rated banking app that lets you manage your money anytime, anywhere, even from your favorite hiking trail. With Capital One's app, you can check your balance, deposit checks, pay bills, and transfer money from wherever you are, anytime you want, even when you're cooking dinner. Open a fee-free checking or savings account online in about 5 minutes. This is banking reimagined. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Consumer accounts only. Approval required. Terms apply. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
I left the military with a traumatic brain injury. I came home to fight depression, anxiety, and alcohol.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I'm Madam Greathouse, Army veteran.
DAV helps veterans get the benefits they've earned.
With DAV's help, I built a new life for myself.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
My victory is just experiencing life.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Yeah, this season I actually had little business cards made. Eric Rubino, Fantasy Baseball GM. You can keep that. Sure, the players are famous, but come game day, I decide their fate. What's that? Oh, you make $20 million? Well, I don't like your attitude. You benched! No, I'd never bench an all-star, but I could. That's also why I like Progressive's Name Your Price tool. With options based on my budget, they never throw me a curveball. That's a little baseball reference for you.
Get options based on your budget with Progressive, even if you're not a legend in your own mind. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Making it easier for you to get the frickin' chicken. Remember Frickers.com. That puts you in touch with everything you crave. Frickin' chicken wings, burgers, ribs, salads, wraps, everything you crave. Should you crave an ice-cold domestic draft beer? Join us and dine in. We have a 48-ounce personal pitcher for only $6. Dine in, carry out, delivery, and now order online at Frickers.com. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits is the home to order online at Frickers.com.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. No-touch freight, home daily lanes. Earn up to $270 per day, $2,000 sign-on bonus. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Apply online, CordellTransportation.com.
Interested in helping Dayton students succeed? Don't miss the Dayton Public Schools Drive-Through Career Fair on Thursday, October 22nd between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. at Welcome Stadium. Masks are required. See the full list of positions and apply now at DaytonPublic.com.
Paint? No, Paramount isn't just paint. It's the #1 paint in overall interior hide and stain resistance, providing the most advanced protection in just one coat. And now you can get that same outstanding protection with our new Paramount One Coat White. This first-of-its-kind one-coat ready mix white provides a beautiful white finish. You'll find Paramount paint exclusively at Menards. In third-party tests, interior paint claims versus super premium home center brands in eggshell sheen.
Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Savings or mail-in rebate. See store for details.
Champagne Dental, taking the fear out of dentistry.
Champagne Dental Group in Urbana recognizes that dental phobias are real. If phobias are preventing you from getting dental treatment, we have numerous options to keep you comfortable and ease your fears. We offer multiple methods to help relax you while you're in the chair, which include oral sedation, medication, and nitrous oxide free of charge. Our friendly and caring staff make it their mission to get you the smile you desire. Visit us online at champagnedentalgroup.org.
Champagne Dental, taking the fear out of dentistry.
It's time for some straight talk. You know what covering your bases is in baseball, right? Making sure you have no holes in your defense. Well, that's the kind of coverage you get with Straight Talk Wireless. And you'll pay up to 50% less than big carriers and still use their same networks. Just $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data and 2G. No contract, no mystery fees. Fully covering your bases for 50% less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Picking up an online order? No problem. It'll just be a moment. You know, we've got more convenient ways to shop besides our same-day store pickup. You can also shop from your car with our free curbside pickup. Or you can even shop completely from home with our free next-day delivery. Just order by 10 p.m. on AutoZone.com. Getting the job done just got easier. Free next-day delivery on eligible orders. Restrictions at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Staples helps your business go big with everything you need at amazing prices. From office essentials like paper and ink to health essentials like masks and sanitizer. Save big at Staples.
Hey, who wants free money? Who are we kidding? We all do. It's the ESPN Dayton hashtag We Want to Get Paid Cash Contest. Listen for the word that wins 18 times a day, starting at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. Enter the keyword at wingam.com for your chance to win $1,000. It's the ESPN Dayton hashtag We Want to Get Paid Cash Contest. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash, back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Shout out to Chris Miller. Thank you for tuning in and commenting, man. Just appreciate that. Just so we're clear. I'm a little testy today.
Yeah.
This coffee has me all fired up, so you know.
Switch to unleaded, man.
Hold up. I'm telling you what. So I'm now a big coffee drinker. I can't start my day unless I have coffee, and I always used to make fun of people like, "Oh, I can't start my day." You know, that's just an excuse to be an ass and like get away. Well, I haven't had my coffee today. That doesn't just give you the excuse to go around and be a jerk. I don't care about that. I'm an a-hole all the time. But you know, the coffee just helps me wake up, so I'm more alert when I'm a jerk to people. That way, I'm more alert. But in the afternoon, I've just discovered drinking coffee around like 2-3 o'clock every day. Like that gives me that extra pick me up. Now I could just eat healthier and eat better during the day. But no,
do that, right?
No, forget that. I'd rather just, have something like this, a little pick me up. Then I can still have my pizza and wings and all the unhealthy stuff that I want for lunch. And everyone's happy, or at least I'm happy. And that is the most important thing as far as that goes. All right. So we did open up talking a little college football. We'll get back into some of that coming up around the corner. Now, one thing I did post in the little about for today's show, the Buckeye games are going to look different, but they're going to sound different. I have a problem with this part right here. Now, everyone, this is where this is going to get really, dicey because every conference has their own set of rules. We've known that. That's what led to this all being such a big deal anyways, is because everyone was basically acting and making decisions, not remotely, but independently. Every conference was acting and working independently. There was no, we talk like the Pac-12 and the Big Ten were working together, but I think that those two realized that those two conferences realized that they were kind of being left out in the cold while everyone else went and formed their own pact of how they were going to do things. Although those conferences like the Big 12, the SEC, ACC didn't work together in regards to the internal stuff of how they were going to handle the virus and handle playing during a pandemic, they all at least went in a pact and decided we're going to play.
Right.
And Ohio State and the Pac-12 thought that they were the smartest guy in the room and that they were going to move forward and that everyone was going to follow, because I think the Big Ten felt very good about themselves whenever they were the first to announce that they were going to go to conference only. Everyone scoffed at that, mocked that, but it wasn't too much longer after that the Big 12 and the SEC and ACC basically adopted a similar approach. Now, they knocked out what was their original schedule altogether, and then they did a SEC +1, ACC +1, Big 12 +1, that type of thing. Ever since that day, Ohio State the Big Ten got a lot of credit for being the conference that decided to go conference only. They looked like they were the conference that was going to be the leader of the movement into playing during a pandemic. And now you fast forward all this way and flip the script in the Big Ten. Whether you think it's right or wrong, they just look foolish for how they handled it, even though they may not be foolish, but they look foolish from the standpoint of, look at they were acting as if you could not play during a pandemic, but here we are a month and a half into the season and they're late to the party. Whether you agree with their stance or not, it does look, it's not a good look, and we knew it wasn't going to be a good look from a perception standpoint. I don't care about people's opinion about the virus anymore. What I mean by that is I think sometimes we get away from the topic at hand because we start arguing about, well, the virus is serious. No, it's not. It's just a hoax. Regardless, the virus has had an impact on the decision making moving forward. And yes, I agree with the conferences that say that there's enough data and information to support being able to play safely during this. And ultimately, that is what has led to everyone playing, although it doesn't look the same and different. You look at the SEC, some stands, they talk about 20, 30, 40% capacity. And I'm sorry, but those don't look like 40% capacity. I mean, that looks 80, 90 at times. And it is what it is. It doesn't bother me, but it is going to bother me come Saturday when we watch Ohio State kick off against Nebraska at the Shoe. And I think they're letting family in. But I'm sorry, even if every player has 5 family members there, we're talking maybe 1,000, 2,000. It's not going to make up for the sound differential of what you would hear even watching a game on television or listening on the radio. 110,000 versus 2,000. I'm sorry, it's going to sound like you could hear a pin drop in the Shoe. But the fans don't really bother me not being there as much as the band's not being there. They're not letting Brutus be there. They're not letting the band be there. And let's be clear, as much as I enjoy the atmosphere at Buckeye games, and it is the fans always bring the atmosphere to every game. But to me, honestly, Kev, it is the band. The band is what separates Ohio State from everyone else. They're a show in itself. And so I do have a problem with fans not being allowed to be in the stands, but I think we were all able to kind of cope with that and adjust to that to be okay with it. Now it's different, though. They don't even have the band in the stands there. There won't even be that approach to it. I talked about that in high school sports when the football season had started, which, by the way, it's hard to believe that we're already heading into week 3 of the OHSA state football playoffs. But to me, it's just crazy because at that time, I'm like, well, it sucks that there's not going to be as many fans there. But as long as the band is there to provide that atmosphere for the kids, that's all that matters. Ohio State's not even going to have that. No fans in the stands is not going to be the weirdest part about this Saturday. It's going to be not hearing the band between plays. I don't think you realize just how much the band takes care of the viewership experience between plays. There's a lot of downtime and dead time in football that I don't even think people
especially grasp. Ohio State games in the second half.
Yep.
I kind of agree with you. One of the biggest things about college football versus the NFL is the college experience. Is the fan base is different from the professional game, and one of those biggest differences is the college band. Every school has a band. They do their own thing, and every school has their unique tradition that they do. Ohio State with the best damn band in the land. We're dotting the O. They got freaking Bevo down there in Texas. They got Ralphie out there in Colorado. They got a dang on bull running on the field. All these type of things that happen only on college football campuses that don't happen in the NFL. And that's kind of what I love about college football and the fan base and just everything about it. The atmosphere is totally different from the NFL. But just like you said, man, COVID, we just got to adjust. We just got to deal with it. And if this means no fans, no band, we get to see the Buckeyes play, I'll take it.
Yeah, but the thing is, to say that the only way we could watch Ohio State is if the band's not there. They could adjust the decision making on this. I mean, look around college football. I'm not a fan of this decision making to sit there and just say, well, you're lucky we even have football. Not you, but that's the Big Ten. Well, you're lucky we even have football. Don't push it with asking for fans. Don't push it with asking for why. What is wrong with changing decisions throughout? And I'm not talking about fans in the stands. I'm just talking about little things like this. No cheerleaders, no band, no mascots. That stuff to me, just like playing. There are plenty of ways that you can adjust to allow the band in the stands. Why can we find out a way to get all these players out on the field and on the sidelines to play football, but there's just no way we could figure out how to get the band on the sideline in an empty stadium? That's the problem I have with all of this.
I got an issue with that because we find out COVID numbers from teams, everything, we kind of chuckled at the situation that's going on at Florida with Dan Mullen talking about he wants 95,000 fans in the stands on Saturday, and then on Tuesday 19 players got COVID, then he has COVID. So I think that's one of the things. We don't know how many people end up catching COVID by going to these games. We'll never find that number out. We don't know exactly how many people are going to the games, having a good time, high-fiving, doing what they do in a football game, and then, a couple of days later, they come down with COVID. I think they're being responsible in that situation by minimizing the exposure of not only the players, but fan to fan, because you're at Ohio State game. You mean to tell me somebody breaks off an 80-yard touchdown run, you not about to be jumping up or down, high-fiving, hugging people you never seen a day in your life? I know I do it every time I go to a Ohio State football game. It is one of the few times where I actually interact with people that I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a big person that goes around just, hey, how you doing? Just shaking hands to people I don't know. But when it's the Buckeyes, we're winning. We're having a great time. Hey, let's party. Let's have a good time. Like, hey, where you guys going after the game? We go going up to B-Dubs. Beers on me when we get there. Like, that atmosphere brings that out in people. So I think minimizing the amount of people in the stadium right now is the best thing to do. And I don't think we can necessarily down the Big Ten until after the season. Like, if the season goes on without a hitch, say the Big Ten season goes on without a hitch, and for argument's sake, there's no positive tests from any Big Ten team, can we say the Big Ten's way was right and the other conference's way was wrong?
No.
They were just lucky?
Because I don't think we could sit there and say that the amount of positive tests is what's successful or not successful. To me, it's, can you find a way to allow there to be events during the pandemic with social distancing protocols put in place, which is what everyone's doing. The Big Ten is watching other conferences find ways to letting it happen, and they're just choosing not to do it. They're choosing because they're already upset and angry that they were kind of bullied into letting there be a season to begin with. I mean, I think there's pride and egos that were impacted by that. And I think that that's what it's coming to. I don't think that the decision not to have a band and Brutus and cheerleaders and fans, like, I'm not asking for 110,000 fans in the shoe, but I mean, I have a hard time believing that, like, while you're watching other conferences around the country have fans in the stands all over, there was ways. I mean, here every Friday I'm going to high school football games. They're packed for COVID standards. They're packed for COVID standards. And, people, they make their own decisions. They know what they're getting themselves into if they go out. It's up to the school to put social distancing protocols in place. And if people choose to go out, it's not like everyone that goes to a Texas A&M game or a Florida game or an Alabama game. They're not being told you will not get COVID because we put some tape on the stands here and we created some space. No one is being told they're not going to get it. They're just being told, here's what we're doing to help prevent you from getting it. And nothing is 100% bulletproof here. And the thing is, people are going to get it. To your point, they won't get it at the shoe because they won't be going to the games there. But I don't know. That still doesn't make sense from a business standpoint to where other businesses are finding a way to get it done. Walmart gets it done. Local businesses here get it done. That's at the station, get it done. Everyone's finding a way to allow things to go on in this world during this pandemic, but the Big Ten is choosing to be difficult. Even although I understand the reasons for it, I still just think it's very stubborn on their part. And by the way, let's say something crazy happens and an outbreak happens at an SEC school. I don't think it's because they were negligent or anything. That's the risk of playing during a pandemic, as far as I'm concerned with that. So there's that. 457-9464. David Shaw says that's BS. The bands play every week regardless of win or draw. I'm not sure at what point that was in reference to, but I mean, yes, the band plays every week, but they're not playing every week this week. They're not playing at the shoe this week as far as that goes. Schroeder says, when is Kenner going to start advocating for Florida to start forfeiting games like he did for the Titans? Is there a report out there that I'm not aware of Florida violating protocols that led to the outbreak?
Not that I heard.
Okay. So, Schroeder, these aren't the same things. In fact, I do have in front of me right here that the Tennessee Titans face potential fines as NFL concludes the COVID-19 review due to negligence on the team's behalf of not communicating properly. And by the way, I love when people try to defend the players and say, well, the players went in practice because it wasn't communicated to them properly. Well, even if the players went on and did it because they weren't communicated with properly, keep in mind that is still a violation on the Titans' part. If the Titans didn't communicate properly, which led to them going out and breaking protocol, that's still the Titans violating protocol. You know what I mean? Like, so the mistake may not have happened with the players, but the mistake happens up top. The Titans should still be punished for it as far as that goes. Bottom line, Schrody, why are you still doing this? I told you your Titans are good. Hell, I got a surprise for you when we get to our top 5, bottom 5 coming up here around the corner. Don't ruin it. Don't make me change it mid-show. Come on now. Let's go to Charlie, 457-9464. Charlie, what's up, man?
You know what I love about the college rankings? They're not
that you don't have to play to move up in the rankings. I think that's pretty cool.
It's finally, it's like, let's just not even make it like, there's no argument now. It's like, just go ahead and just put them in. It's like, we need 2 SEC schools. We need Clemson, we need Ohio State. Yeah, they got to play some games, whatever. But I mean, it's like, don't let State climb up like, oh, they weren't ranked. And now, they're 24. Uh-oh. You know, it's like
so each week it's like I think I can, and they slowly build up to the top 5.
Yeah, and it's just like just put them at 5, and because Notre Dame does have a lot of fans, but I mean, I watched 2 seconds of that game. They're not good. Notre Dame is not good.
Now, I mean, based on like just the 2 seconds that you said you watched, like, because keep in mind, like, because here's the deal: like, if Ohio State doesn't look that explosive on Saturday, are we going to say the same thing? Oh man, they're just not good, or are we going to say, well, to be fair, though, Notre Dame's had quite a few weeks to play, so I guess it's not the same comparison.
I would say that. Look, if Ohio State looks like Notre Dame just did against Louisville, who's not ranked, and I mean, how are you not ranked? There's like 25 teams playing, but if Ohio State comes out against Notre Dame like that, I'd be like, oh, that's not good. Because I mean, they should smash Nebraska. But let's get to some big stuff real quick.
Oh, big stuff, nice.
Let me tug at your heartstrings because you love tugging on mine. Because now you're saying when Tua starts that Joe's going to be the 3rd best rookie.
The real big stuff. I see what you're doing here. Okay.
You're all about rookie years because that's all you got to talk about when it comes to Baker Mayfield.
That was Baker's best year, man. I'm still in love with rookie Baker. Not so much since.
Win as many games as Jeff Blake did in one season yet. To this day. Jeff
Blake.
Hey, Jeff Blake won at least 8 games.
0-16 without Baker. They get Baker. They, totally different looking team. I see that makes sense.
All right. Well, okay. So why? It's a big deal to me and you. I don't know why it's not a big deal yet. Because last week with the Browns and Steelers, they were like, "This is a make or break game." But if you go to Cincinnati, and I don't even think it's far fetched because I've watched every Bengals game. We've been competitive except for that Baltimore game. And we shut Lamar Jackson completely down in that game, by the way.
Yeah, you guys were defensive beasts.
But so what is the status of Baker Mayfield and the Browns season if you lose?
Oh, it's definitely not good, but they're not losing. They're not losing to the Bengals. Now, I know this sounds like a repeat from last week, but I mean, I'm very, very confident. Like last week, I put my confident cape on. I don't need to put my confidence cape on right now. I'm very confident.
346 on the Tuesday.
346 on yes.
Got it.
You could easily lose this Sunday. You barely beat us the last time.
Well, have you heard the saying that anyone could beat anybody? I mean, if that's the little I think I can train story you guys need to feel good, then go ahead.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, yes, any team can win any Sunday, but the Browns are in games that this is like, this is your year. What happens to Baker if he gets embarrassed by Cincinnati? What if Jesse Bates picks him up 5 times?
Put something on it, Charlie.
I mean, we dropped 3 interceptions against Lamar Jackson, and he looked lousy. And man, you got typical Bengals fan here. We almost won. We almost had interceptions. I mean, you guys are the best, man. You guys are. I'm not saying we almost. You almost had me changing my mind on this conversation. No, I'm just saying, do not sleep on the Bengals when it comes to passing. When you guys start trying to throw the ball. Man, it's now listen. Good. Do you want to know why I'm confident about because the Bengals were so bad at stopping the run that the Browns didn't have to worry about passing the ball against the Bengals. So that's the thing. Game. It's a different game. It's a completely different game. We did a turnaround game. What was that? 4 days after Joe Burrow's first game, He had to go to Cleveland, and he was right there at the very end with 5 points.
So to sum up, they almost won. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. You know what? You've won 4 games.
Yes, we did. That's
And the only person that should be able to talk any trash is sitting right next to you because his team's killing everybody. But
what's that, Kev? Were you almost going to say something? Or?
No, I'm chilling, man. That's between y'all two.
He doesn't have to say anything. His team crushes people. But I just want to know for real, what do you think happens to Baker, at least for the rest of the year, if he throws 2 picks and you guys lose the Sunday?
I mean, what happens if he throws 5 picks? What if he throws 6 picks? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Look, I mean, we could be having that conversation about any game. He just threw 2 picks and looked horrible against the Steelers, and Kevin Stefanski comes out. He's a glutton for punishment and says Baker, if healthy, is the starter moving forward. So there you go.
All right.
Now, good luck, and we'll talk soon.
I don't need luck. I got Joe Burrow, baby. Who does?
The third best rookie quarterback in the NFL right now. Take care, Charlie. Oh, he's gone. Yeah, the Bengals fans are the key. They drive the. We almost won. We almost caught those interceptions. If Joe Burrow, I mean, if those injuries don't happen, he almost has an offensive line that could protect. I mean, almost. Come on, almost.
Rank the quarterbacks in the AFC North.
Oh man, I would, but we got to get to break, and we almost missed our break, and we got to get to break. So we'll be back in a little bit.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
OHMB 803-342 and MLS 304138. Do you need help with a loan to purchase or refinance your home? Have you applied for a home loan and been told you do not qualify for a loan? Are you a first-time buyer and have questions regarding the home buying process? Are you considering refinancing your existing home? Do you live in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Florida, or South Carolina? If you answered yes to any of the above questions, you need to call Forrest Ferris at 3rd Street Financial Home Loans at 513-320-5911, who is available 7 days a week to help you. We're 3rd Street Financial Home Loans, and Forrest Ferris specializes in approving home loans banks and other lenders cannot or will not approve. Some of our clients might have low credit scores, been through a divorce, want to buy a home for sale by owner, are in a land contract, or dealing with probate or estate homes. Call Forrest now for a free estimate, 513-320-5911. That's 513-320-5911. Offer valid for purchase or refinancing of homes located in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Florida, and South Carolina only. Minimum loan amount $60,000. Limitations and restrictions apply.
My husband, Alex Hussey, was hit by an IED in Afghanistan.
I was playing man in foot patrol, and I stopped on the bomb. Lost my legs and my left hand in an explosion.
DAV helps veterans of every generation to get the benefits they've earned.
To see Alex learning to snow ski, that's life-changing.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories great and small.
This has meant so much. Thank you, DAV.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
good night.
There's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
It's time for some straight talk. You know what covering your bases is in baseball, right? Making sure you have no holes in your defense. Well, that's the kind of coverage you get with Straight Talk Wireless. And you'll pay up to 50% less than big carriers and still use their same networks. Just $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data and 2G. No contract, no mystery fees. Fully covering your bases for 50% less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Progressive Motorcycle presents Road Wisdom from the Motor.
Half man, half motorcycle.
You never really stop riding in your mind. Unless you're thinking of something else.
Like other thoughts.
Progressive Motorcycle also presents Roadside Assistance. Progressive Motorcycle, for those who were born to ride. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Hey, it's Justin Kinner from The Justin Kinner Show, and I wanted to take some time to tell you about my great experiences with CertaPro painters. That's right, my experiences, as in more than one. I've had CertaPro painters complete quite a few painting projects for me over the years, and every time they knock it out of the park, whether it was the Ohio State-themed office with the Buckeye stripe wrapped around the room, or when they painted my entire house before move-in day, I could not believe that they knocked out our entire house in just one day. CertaPro painters knows how to get the job done right, and most importantly, safely during these times. They deliver what they promise. They show up on time. They get the job done right and on budget. Whether it is residential or commercial, interior or exterior, CertaPro painters will take care of you from the first initial free estimate all the way up to the final brush of paint on your project. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. They are a local business that you can support. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C.
The Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission is here to assist veterans during this COVID-19 pandemic. Even though we are not meeting face-to-face, we are here for you. We understand it is a difficult time with this virus threat and the strain of implementing social distancing. For those Montgomery County veterans who have lost their source of income due to their employers having to close or reduce their business hours due to the COVID-19 pandemic, you may be eligible for COVID-19 special financial relief assistance. Please contact the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801 Monday through Friday for more information or to have an application sent to you. You can also visit mcvsc.org. The Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission is here to help Montgomery County veterans during the COVID-19 crisis. Call 937-225-4801 Monday through Friday or visit them online at mcvsc.org.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
I'm LaRonda Jackson, and I'm running for state representative of Ohio's 40th District House seat. And I'm asking for your vote on November 3rd. I'm running because there's a disconnect between our House and the State House. It's a disconnect of indifference. How else can you explain our low wages and our underfunded public schools? I will fight for Ohio's most vulnerable population. Vote Jackson for District 40.
Paid for by friends of LaRonda Jackson.
Try Canada Dry Bold Ginger with an extra kick of real ginger taste that blow the butterscotch out of your grandma's bowl. Canada Dry Bold Ginger, not your grandma's ginger ale.
On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
I still have no clue what this song even is.
I know what it is.
I've literally got, so like it's an actual, like I got it from the music. I
told you what it was.
But like we actually have like songs like that like in the music bed downloader.
I'm messing with you, man. I have never heard
because I've had like 3 or 4 people literally message the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook like privately asking, "Yo, what's that song?" They want to download it. Like so whoever it is, like we are, they're all, and they literally call it the stripper song.
It is. That's why they want it. They got plans for the weekend.
Well, if you want to listen to it, I know where you can go. There you go.
Bring some ones with you.
Or some $5 Frickers bucks. You know, do what you got to do. Make it rain. All right. Ron Howard says, I haven't heard Go Browns in a couple of days. What's up with that? Go Browns. Browns are fine. They're 4-2. They're just fine. We went through their schedule yesterday. There's still 11 to 12 wins on this season still. The Browns are fine. The Browns aren't winning the Super Bowl. They're not probably getting a win in the playoffs. Whether they're getting their 12 to 11 to 12 damn wins, they'll be fine. Everything is fine. What if I cried myself to sleep last night saying it's fine. It's fine.
What if I told you the Browns fans are overreacting to the loss? What if I told you I felt that way?
What do you mean they're overreacting?
I feel like they're overreacting to this loss. They got blew out. Okay.
Everyone gets blown out.
Everybody gets blown out.
We just watched the Packers get blown out this past weekend against a really good team.
Yeah. To be honest, that's how I feel. Like everybody gets blown out. Like, okay, move on to the next game. You got another game.
See, this is the problem for the Browns, though, mainly because they've only played 2 elite teams this year. and the score was pretty much identical.
Yeah, it was like I think I saw the combined score was 75-15.
Well, that was not necessary, but yeah, I think something like that. Thank you for that. Yeah. Oh, now all of a sudden Steelers saying, "Hey, I was just throwing up numbers left and right." It's like, look out, the Reds might hire you for their analytical department, Mr. Numbers over here. Holy smokes! All right, 457-9464. Who we got on hold, Kev? We got Jack. Let's go to Jack. What's up, Jack?
So that would be they're going to be getting busy.
Oh, who's getting busy, Jack? Jack, you there?
Oh, yeah, this is Jack. How you doing?
I'm good, Jack. What you got for us?
And, I really enjoyed that last Bengal caller. Now, basically, our defense, everybody's complaining about Baker, but if you look back at the games we've won, our defense have set up our offense, and Ben had all day. He wasn't pressured at all.
Absolutely. And by the way, Ben, and look, Myles Garrett did get to Ben on a few occasions, but you're right. Big Ben was comfortable in that pocket, which is the Browns defense. I don't think is that good, but I do believe they're very good up front. I did expect more pressure on Big Ben, but that offensive line for them is good. Even their backups are good. So that's the problem. And to your point, the Browns were very good at forcing turnovers and taking those turnovers and turning them into points at the other end. They didn't force any turnovers, and that's one reason, too, that they just looked even more defeated this past weekend. They couldn't get anything going on either side of the ball.
And another thing that people don't realize, there's dissension on the Bengal defensive team. I don't know if you read the paper today, but there's quite a bit of dissension on their team. And I tell people that I'm rooting for the Bengals 14 games out of the year, but they're not going to win on next week. It's just because we got more talent across the board than the Bengals right now.
That's a given. Yes. And what you're alluding to, of course, is, you have Atkins and Dunlap, two guys that just got paid, handsomely over the last couple of years by the Bengals, and they're being used less and less each week. They are not fans of their usage from Zach Taylor and this coaching staff, and it's leading to a lot of behind-the-scenes issues there. You even have John Ross, who, more power to him, but him and his agent have already gone to the Bengals front office demanding a trade. You're right. There is a lot of mess going on behind the scenes. You're starting to see some things crumble a little bit outside of just the record.
Yeah, hey, it's nice talking to you. And like I said, this is BB week. And I said BB week. It could be Browns, Bengals, Bengals, Browns. This is BB week.
Creative, Jack. Jack, good stuff, man. I appreciate you calling. Take care.
Thank you.
All right, there you have it. That was Jack, and he wanted to let you know that it's BB week.
Indeed.
All right, folks, we'll be back in a moment because speaking of BB, we'll talk about one of those Bs, the Bengals. I put this out on my Facebook page earlier, and I figured it was going to irritate some people, and I don't really care. Remember 2 weeks ago we had a conversation about Justin Herbert, and I said I like Justin Herbert more than Joe Burrow. I didn't just come up with that opinion today to stir the pot, as I was accused of saying. I believe that Justin Herbert looks better than Joe Burrow, but not by much. And there's nothing wrong with Joe Burrow. I just you know what I mean? Like when you say that right away, people take it as an insult to the other person. For me, the Justin Kinner opinion is I like Justin Herbert more. Now, a year ago, I've been adamant that Tua Tagovailoa was going to be the best quarterback in this draft class, and I still think that. Tua Tagovailoa was named the starter for the Dolphins moving forward. That was made official earlier this afternoon. So I said, well, now Joe Burrow is officially going to be the third best rookie quarterback in the National Football League. Bengals fans don't like that. Kevin's eyes don't like it either. No. We'll see. We'll see.
Oh, we'll definitely see. But we'll talk about it after the break.
Now that's a tease. We'll be back in a moment, folks. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Progressive presents The Sounds of the Old World.
The year is 2019, and someone is waiting for a table at a restaurant.
Thompson, party of 4. Thompson, party of 4. Thompson, oh, there you are.
This has been The Sounds of the Old World. Brought to you by Progressive, where drivers can still switch and save like it's 2019.
Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Does this place look haunted?
No, I don't think so.
What about those 2 creepy girls?
Come stay with us.
That is truly frightening.
You know what's really scary? Missing out on Geico's great service. With Geico, you get 24/7 access to licensed agents.
Thank you, creepy girls.
Want to see our room?
We're gonna sleep in the car now.
Happy Geico-ween. Switch today for 24/7 access to licensed agents.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
Good night.
there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
Beware, the forces of hail will rain down upon you.
What the hail?
Storms, the threat of eternal hail.
Who the hell was that, honey?
Hail if I know.
What the hell did he want?
He was hail concerned about us getting a roof inspection.
Hell of a way to tell you about it.
Lance Roofing and Siding is your local expert in everything hail can damage on your home. Have unsightly hail damage? Visit us at lanceroofing.com to schedule your appointment today.
I'm attorney David Brannon, and I'm running for Montgomery County Probate Court Judge on November 3rd. If you ever get married, claim an inheritance, or care for aging parents, you may find yourself in need of the probate court. Over the past 15 years, I've worked hard to protect those in need and to get the right answers for families in probate court. I am also certified by the Ohio State Bar Association as a specialist in probate law. I understand that families need speedy and fair decisions from the probate court. I have the dedication and compassion to be there for your family, so please vote for me, David Brannon, November 3rd. I am David Brannon, and I approve this message.
Try Canada Dry Bold Ginger with an extra kick of real ginger taste that blow the butterscotch out of your grandma's bowl. Canada Dry Bold Ginger, not your grandma's ginger ale.
NFL fans, the season is finally here. Touchdown! Get your picks submitted at wingam.com. Click on contest and enter the Pro Football Challenge. Weekly winners will win $20 in Frickers Fun Bucks. Get to wingam.com and get your NFL picks submitted now.
Touchdown! Incredible!
Good luck. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com. 1410 WING AM.
Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween.
We are Dayton's ESPN radio station. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
All right, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on a Tuesday. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. He will join us coming up 20 minutes from now. We'll talk some college football. We'll talk your Buckeyes, Browns, Bengals, and more coming up here in just 20 minutes again with ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. Earlier this afternoon, ESPN's Adam Schefter broke the news that the Miami Dolphins have announced that they are going to move on from starter Ryan Fitzpatrick. And they're going to announce that, or they announced that Tua Tagovailoa is officially the starting quarterback for the Dolphins moving forward. To me, this was something that was probably in the works in the very beginning. It makes all the sense in the world. You're making this change at a time that it's a bye week. Tua's going to have 2 weeks to prepare for his first start in the National Football League. But I think what is interesting is I think you could tell right now that this was the plan from the beginning, and that the Dolphins were not expected to be 3-3 at this exact moment. They are 3-3 in a division that I think is very uncertain. You have a Buffalo Bills team that everyone right away just basically pointed at and said, "Oh, they're winning this division now that Tom Brady and the Patriots are down and out." And I don't know who the Patriots are at this moment because Cam Newton obviously looked like he took a step back last week, but I'm not going to put that all on him. I think he only practiced 3 of the last 15 days heading into that. Obviously, it's going to take time for him to kind of get back into the rhythm that he was in the first couple weeks of the season when everyone was like, "Man, this Patriots team, they don't look that different. If anything, they look a little bit more, flexible offensively, and they're still the same well-coached, New England Patriots squad with Bill Belichick." So this division's still up in the air. I think it's very uncertain. And I think that the Dolphins are taking a huge risk moving on from Fitzpatrick, who has just led them to 2 straight wins, one of those over the Niners in a blowout fashion. Like the Dolphins have been playing pretty good football. And I don't think anyone anticipated this team to be playing pretty good football. They have unloaded a lot of talent over the last couple of years. This is not a team that anyone looks at and says, "Oh, that they were the favorites to win the division the first year after Tom Brady leaves, and they were not the favorites to make the playoffs or win a Super Bowl." I don't think they're winning a Super Bowl. I don't, who knows what's going to happen moving forward. I don't know if they win this division or not. I don't know if they make the playoffs or not. And I'm not just saying that I don't know because they're switching to Tua. I don't know even if Fitzpatrick is the guy, but I am a little surprised right now that with the way that they are playing really good football, that they would announce this decision. What I believe it is that they were at a point. I believe that they were at a point, and someone just messaged, "What's the number?" So I can call 457-9464, 937-457-9464. That's the number to call in. I think they were at a point where they always knew that they were going to go to Tua right at this bye week to give him 2 weeks to prepare. They were going to give him about a good 6 weeks to kind of sit behind Fitzpatrick, kind of learn the game a little bit more, give him more time to heal up, and then give him the starting job right after the bye week. I think that was the original plan going back to the beginning. I still thought it was foolish. Doctors announced that he was 100% healthy and ready to go, that he completely healed up quicker than anyone had anticipated, and that all news out of camp was just, "Oh man, Tua looks great. Tua looks so good." That was my biggest argument as to why the Dolphins didn't start him in the first place. You can't sit there and spend all preseason telling everyone how good he is behind, during closed practices, how he looks better than anyone had anticipated it. That's the problem I had with all of it, is because then they were hiding behind the excuse of, "Well, the injury. Well, what is it? He's either 100% healthy and he looks 100% ready to go in the preseason and he looks really, really good, or the injury. You can't have it both ways. Regardless, the injury put that on the back burner because he's completely healed up right now, and they said they're very confident in his ability to be able to lead this team and take this offense to another level. Here's the deal. You want to talk about a guy that's coming into being thrown out to the Wolves. I think he's in a tougher situation right now than Joe Burrow. I think he's in a 10 times tougher position than Joe Burrow. By the way, his offensive line is great. The 2 worst offensive lines in football right now is the Miami Dolphins and the Cincinnati Bengals. They have the 2 worst offensive lines. And Fitzpatrick was somehow winning games with that bad offensive line, by the way. So when I hear people try to make excuses for Joe Burrow, that, man, imagine if he had an offensive line. There are other quarterbacks out there who are getting it done, even with equally bad offensive lines, most notably the Dolphins with Fitzpatrick, and Tua is going to have an opportunity here to do the same thing. Will Bengals fans be as forgiving of Tua if he doesn't play well to start and say, "Well, the offensive line"? We'll see. We'll see if, the hypocrisy that I love to point out amongst fan bases, I think that's going to be coming out full front and center coming up here around the corner if Tua comes out and plays well, and I believe that he will. I came out last year and said Tua is going to be the number 1 quarterback in this trade. By the way, that's not a hot take. Tua, you remember last year, Kev, tank for Tua? Mm-hmm. Tank for Tua. That was everyone's moniker last year, tank for Tua. And then as the season started rolling on, then Burrow, then it was like, what was it, blow for Burrow or whatever it was. Then Burrow started getting his his little monikers, created throughout the year. There was nothing wrong with taking Joe Burrow, but let's keep in mind the Bengals didn't take Joe Burrow because they believed that he was better than Tua. There were still talks leading up to the Bengals were all in on taking Joe Burrow, but there were some internal conversations about, Tua still could potentially be that guy. I will say this. The Bengals were taking Joe Burrow no matter what. He's the Ohio guy. That's what we kept hearing, right? He's an Ohio guy. He's perfect for Cincinnati. He's already loved by the fan base because he's an Ohio guy. Folks, you're bashing Tua. But if Joe Burrow would have been Joe Burrow year 1 at LSU versus year 2 at LSU, the Bengals would have been all about Tua Tagovailoa. The same fans that are ripping me right here would be the same fans just drooling over Tua Tagovailoa going number 1 overall to Cincinnati Bengals. So I don't want to hear that all of a sudden this guy's trash. Because I promise you, the same Bengals fans that are ripping him right now would be the same Bengals fans drooling over him and just crying about how great he is if Joe Burrow didn't have the year that he had last year, and everyone in the NFL was lining up ready to get Tua Tagovailoa. The same way we're hearing teams line up right now to get Trevor Lawrence, the same conversations existed for Tua Tagovailoa. I watched Justin Herbert. By the way, someone said in the Facebook page, "Oh, he's only had 2 starts." No, right now Justin Herbert's only had 1 less start than Burrow, and I'm more impressed with what I've seen from Justin Herbert than Joe Burrow. Sure, Joe Burrow has a bad offensive line. So what? The guy can't win close games. I mean, he's had multiple opportunities. You can't sit there and praise him when he has a good offensive drive, and then when he doesn't have a good offensive drive in crunch time, you sit there and say, "Oh, well, the offensive line's bad." Bengals fans love to talk about they almost won. They almost beat this team. They almost beat your Browns. They almost won in week 1 if it wasn't for the kicker. 1-4-1. That's the record. It's the record for the Cincinnati Bengals. There's not a category for almost. All right. There's only wins, losses, and for whatever reason, ties. Can we get rid of ties? I hate ties. I don't like wearing ties, and I don't like ties in sports. I hate ties. So give me a break as far as that's concerned. Okay. So there's no almost categories. I guess that tie could be an almost category. You almost beat the Eagles, but the Eagles are bad too. So the bottom line is when I look at all of this right now and I see Tua coming in, there is a good shot that if Tua Tagovailoa goes on and the Dolphins just continue rolling, even with that bad offensive line, then what? Then what's the excuse going to be? Is all of a sudden, the offensive line's better than the Bengals? Not by much. Pro Football Focus, which Bengals fans love to throw around all the time, has graded the Dolphins to have the second worst offensive line in football behind the Cincinnati Bengals. So please, I would love to hear more as to how all of a sudden you're going to dig yourself out of that one. I believe that Joe Burrow is going to be the 3rd best rookie quarterback by the end of this season. I'm not doing that to anger Bengals fans. I'm not doing it to stir the pot. I'm doing it because that's what I believe. I truly believe that Joe Burrow, by that time this season is done, will be viewed as the 3rd best rookie quarterback in the National Football League. Tua is going to come in, and he's going to do great things with the Dolphins for one. Tua is going to do exactly what we all anticipated him to do before the injury last year. 361 days. All right, 361 days ago exactly is when he had that huge career, that season-ending injury, the college career-ending injury, as far as that's concerned. So to me, I am all for Tua Tagovailoa coming in. I can't wait to watch this kid play. I'm bummed that they're bringing him in on a bye week because then I have to wait another whole week to watch him. Joe Burrow's been amazing to watch. Justin Herbert's been amazing to watch. Tua's been amazing to watch. I think that this quarterback draft class right here is ultimately going to end up being better than the class that we all thought was going to be one of the best quarterback classes of all time, the class that had Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, Baker Mayfield, obviously Sam Darnold. And to be fair, we didn't put Lamar Jackson in that conversation. We never talked about Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson was supposed to be a wide receiver, remember? There were teams out there who were trying to talk to Lamar Jackson about being a wide receiver. Remember that was going on? We didn't put Lamar Jackson in that category, but ultimately he is the face of that quarterback class. And then you look at the sad careers of Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold right now. Those two haven't panned out. They haven't panned out. So this group right here with Tua, Justin Herbert, and Joe Burrow, they're on pace right now to potentially be the best, group that we've seen in quite some time coming in. And the quarterback class has only gotten deeper and better in the NFL year in and year out. And I think Tua's style fits the NFL more. You need to be athletic. You need to be able to escape the pocket and not be just standing up stiff in the pocket. Justin Herbert, that's where he separates himself from Joe Burrow. Tua Tagovailoa, that's where he's going to separate himself from Joe Burrow. The arm strength of Tua Tagovailoa, better than Joe Burrow. Justin Herbert, arm strength, better than Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's not bad. I'm just telling you, I believe the other two are going to be considered better when it's all said and done. Kev, you have specific instructions. I got to go back up. Chris Harold says, Kev, please talk some sense to this guy after the break. So you have specific instructions that you were supposed to talk some sense into me.
So Tua is going to be the best out of those 3. That's in your opinion?
I think Justin Herbert is going to, right, with what I've seen. Again, it's 4 games. I know everyone right now is saying, hold on, Chris Harold says, Kev, mute his mic. Relax, Chris. This is not the presidential debate, okay? You will not mute my mic.
That's
wrong. You will not, no. But no, Justin Herbert, maybe Tua. I haven't seen him yet. But again, I think that the strengths of Tua Tagovailoa from what you've read for, reports coming in, equal, if not better than Joe Burrow moving forward. And I do believe that their teams are going to play a role in why those two will excel past Joe Burrow, because those teams are going to do everything they can to put their guy in a better spot moving forward as well.
So my question is, when the reports were coming out of Cincinnati Bengals camp about how good Joe Burrow was looking, you passed it off of what else they're supposed to say. And now that you're bringing up the reports about how good Tua looked in their camp, my question to you, what else were they supposed to say about Tua?
I see what you said there. They also talk about, for one, his health and everything else that goes into that conversation. For one, the Bengals were, Joe Burrow did look good, though. Joe Burrow did look how the front office said. I'm not saying anything bad about Joe Burrow.
Right.
People get very defensive here about not you, but in the feed. Like, I'm not even reading all this. Dude, you keep saying the same hate on Burrow every day. I'm okay. Yeah, we're talking about, this is a story about Tua. I'm comparing all the quarterbacks. If you don't like it, I apologize. You just want, Burrow's great. If I had to vote for MVP right now, Joe Burrow. So Kyle Wheeler, I hope you feel better. I hope I made you feel better. I hope Joe Burrow was my vote for MVP this year. My fault. Sorry. Keep going. Anyways, you would ask that for a reason. I do believe. Look, I believe the Bengals when they said he looked good, and he does look good. I didn't say he looked bad.
Mm-hmm.
I just like the strengths of the other two. Look at Kyler Murray last night. He's not. I mean, Baker Mayfield's undersized. And Baker Mayfield has a hard time getting out of the pocket. He's not very, fast getting out of the pocket. I mean, teams, they chase him down. Kyler Murray was making plays outside of the pocket. He was escaping pressure. He was making plays even when plays broke down. That's the same thing with Lamar. Patrick Mahomes could do that. Russell Wilson could do that. All the great quarterbacks in the NFL right now are doing that. That's where Justin Herbert separates himself from Burrow, and the same thing is going to be said about Tua. So we'll see. We'll see.
My thing about the whole Tua thing is
They called me Guy. Oh boy. Okay, keep going.
No, I think you're right about them having a plan in place for Tua. We talked about it, him being quote unquote ready to go from the season starting. I don't necessarily believe that he was quote unquote ready to go as far as health reasons or just having the NFL game down. I think they had a plan in place to say, hey, we're going to get you in there, or we're going to gradually get you in there before we just kind of like throw you to the wolves. That's why we have Fitz Magic here on the team, and he's a perfect bridge guy to a young quarterback. He's not a guy that's gonna lose you games because he throws a lot of interceptions, but he's also gonna win you games because he turns into freaking Joe Montana for some strange reason. Sometimes we saw that against the 49ers.
He's so weird.
He's
had a game in his career where he's thrown 5 touchdowns and no interceptions. He's also had a game where he's thrown no touchdowns and 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
Like he's just. He's interesting. The beard's cool too, man.
Yeah, like that's who he is, and he's a perfect bridge guy. He's not going to be a guy that complains. He's kind of like a guy that you will want your young quarterback coming up underneath. So I think it was something that was already, quote unquote, agreed to amongst all parties involved. This is a perfect situation for Tua to step into. Like we said, he has the bye week, and I believe they have the Jets, right?
Yes.
So they have the Jets. So, I mean, we see what the train wreck the Jets are. So you're expecting to get
the Dolphins? No, the Dolphins?
They just beat the Jets.
They just beat the Jets.
Yeah, you're right.
They got the Rams, Cardinals, Chargers coming up. So you'll get to see Justin Herbert versus Tua on the 15th.
Nice.
And then Burrow against Tua on December 6th if Joe Burrow's still able to walk by then.
Now, I always was a big Herbert fan, and I know, us being in Big Ten country, we look down on quarterbacks from, the Pac-12 and everything like that. And, I remember the game that he had against Arizona State, and he was throwing interceptions left and right, and everybody laughed at him and said, this guy's going to be an NFL quarterback. He ain't got it. But, they neglected to see the great game he had against a real good Auburn defense the first game of the season. And throughout the rest of his last season, Herbert balled out. He was my guy that I will want to lead my team because of that athleticism, because he's a big, strong quarterback. I like Joe. I think Joe will end up being the second best quarterback. I'm not a big Tua guy.
Hater.
I just don't think that Tua is going to be that guy in the NFL. Nothing against what he did at Bama, but I just don't think he is. I think he's a quarterback that isn't going to be able to produce at the same clip that these other guys are.
All right, so let's go back to this. By the way, Gordon Gross, it's a gross name, said that, this should be the Kev Nash show with Justin Kinner. I could pull some strings and we can make that happen. In fact, next segment, after Jason Fitz, we'll switch it up. It'll be the Kev Nash show with Justin. You want to switch it up? We'll switch it up.
No, we're good. We'll
switch it up. No. We'll switch it up. We'll see. Actually, to be fair, he did say this before you said Burrow would be the second best quarterback of this group. So, it might be, he's running out of names. Hooper, let's go get Hooper as far as all right, Kyle Wheeler says, dude, you keep saying the same hate on Burrow every day. The offensive line isn't the only problem. Okay, I know. Fitzpatrick is a veteran that has been exposed to the league and can manage games. Burrow, no veteran quarterback to mentor, no offseason to work out with your team. Second-year head coach that still has trouble finding this team. Again, that's a bunch of malarkey. That's a bunch of excuses right there. That's all excuses. It's not just the offensive line. Well, again, the defense isn't blocking for Joe Burrow. All I keep hearing is that Joe Burrow, imagine if Joe Burrow had an offensive line. Okay, I'm imagining. I'm closing my eyes and I'm imagining. Yep, still almost winning games and still 1-4-1 on the year. Actually, maybe you lose to the Eagles instead of time. I don't know. Maybe you beat them. I don't know. Then you're, 2-4? What do you want me to say? Bottom line is that do you think Fitzpatrick is, again, good quarterbacks find a way to win even with bad offensive lines. Maybe not win, but at least win some games. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that as far as that's concerned. But anyways, Chris Harold says, and Jalen Hurts looked good until his injury. If not for that, Tua wouldn't have been here where he is today, right? Actually, Jalen Hurts looked good until his injury. Jalen Hurts didn't get taken out for Tua because of an injury. Jalen Hurts got taken out of a game because he wasn't playing good. Yeah. And Nick Saban, the reason Nick Saban is the best coach in all of college football right now, and no one even comes close, maybe Dabo Swinney. Nick Saban is the best head coach in college football because he had the cojones to make a change at halftime of a national championship game to go to a freshman quarterback that literally led Alabama to win a national championship. So Jalen Hurts was not hurt. That's not what led to that. If not for that, Tua wouldn't be where he is today. Right, we can go on and on about shoulda, coulda, woulda, but when it came time to draft quarterbacks, Burrow was the definitive top choice. Again, if any other team is picking number one and that injury, if we want to play the woulda, coulda, shoulda, Kev, if that injury doesn't happen, are we talking more? Is there more internal conversation for the Bengals about who to take number one overall?
No, I think it was Joe from the go.
And why? Because he's from Ohio. He's an Ohio guy.
I don't.
It's all about the food bank, and he's all about Ohio. He's all about Ohio. Tua doesn't care about a food bank in Dayton. Only Joe Burrow does. I mean, it's Joe Burrow because the story made sense. He's an Ohio guy.
That's what you think they drafted him for?
I promise you, no one. It would have been Tua. Had that injury doesn't happen, and anyone else is picking number one overall, Tua's the number one overall pick.
Nah,
Joe Burrow benefited from that. The big winner that week when Tua went down. Yes, LSU, but definitely Joe Burrow. And not because they went on to win a national championship. It's because it led to the easy door of opening up for Joe Burrow to be the number one pick overall. And there's nothing wrong with Joe Burrow.
So you really think the Bengals drafted him because he's from Ohio?
Yes.
Because
he's good. Hold on, that sounds bad.
If that's true, then the Bengals are in more trouble than we know.
Oh, they definitely are. But no, what I mean is when you're splitting hairs when you get to a point where if you have a healthy Tua Tagovailoa and a healthy Joe Burrow, you're splitting hairs. I mean, you're really dissecting every little tiny thing you can about them. They are both elite level quarterbacks. They were both the real dang deal here. And I think what would have gave Joe Burrow the edge over Tua for the Bengals, if both were 100% healthy, Joe Burrow would have got the edge because he's an Ohio guy. I truly believe that. Everyone in the NFL last year was positioning themselves to get Tua Tagovailoa. Everyone, till he got hurt. And then everyone ignored Tua, talked about how he might not even play this year. His career might be done for good. Nick Saban was a horrible coach for having him even being out there on the field because it was 28-7 and everyone felt that he should have been benched. Yeah.
Nah, man. If the Bengals drafted him because he was from Ohio, they have bigger problems than we know. They need to draft the best player on the board. And I think the best player in the draft, quarterback-wise, was Joe Burrow.
David Shaw, who usually disagrees with me, says Burrow. Well, for one, hold on, I got to go back to. I actually agree with Justin on this. He says Burrow was not the best quarterback in the draft if Tua was healthy. And if Tua is healthy now,
what happened to a head-to-head matchup? Since we love head-to-head matchups, his team beat his team.
Is this like WWE, the main event, 1-1, Tua Tagovailoa versus Joe Burrow?
He outplayed Tua. He outplayed Tua.
Okay. That doesn't mean so. The head-to-heads in team sports always fascinate me. In football,
he outplayed him, and his team won. Okay. And he put up
the team that went on to be undefeated and win a national championship and have 16 NFL players on the roster. I would hope that they would win.
Yeah, but nobody said how many guys from the Alabama team are in the NFL. Like his receiving core and went in the first round.
Was considered one of the most efficient quarterbacks of all time in college football.
Yeah,
we're splitting hairs. We're outplayed him. LSU outplayed Alabama.
He outplayed
LSU outplayed Alabama. Chris Schultz says Tua had 3 or 4 injuries in college. He's a liability. Okay, Chris. He also had 3 or 4 injuries in college, and that's more than he had more injuries than Joe Burrow had good seasons in college football. So what does that have to do with anything? Joe Burrow sucked his entire career until the last year with LSU. For whatever reason, I have no clue what just happened overnight that he just figured out how to play. But he did. And he's awesome, and the Bengals are lucky to have him. People are getting really defensive about this. I am not saying that Burrow is bad. Me saying I think Tua is going to be better.
I think you did just say it was bad, but
no, he was bad for almost his entire college career until that magical year. We got to call Jason Fitz. We'll be back in a moment. More of the Justin Kinder Show. He's injury prone. Okay, let's talk about injury prone in a year when your quarterback can't walk because your front office was too stupid to get him an offensive line. Jason Fitz next.
He is fired up today.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Report 3.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be cloudy with a high near 58. Tonight will be mostly cloudy with a chance of showers, a low around 56. And tomorrow will be mostly cloudy with a chance of showers, a high near 71. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
The Advantage program from Stevenson Service Experts takes the stress out of maintaining your home comfort system. Pay no money down, one low monthly rate, and nothing for maintenance and repairs. The Advantage program from Stevenson Service Experts. Learn more at 866-EXPERTS or StevensonHVAC.com. See website for license details.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
When you're stressed, you just don't feel like yourself. New Natrol Relaxia, a full line of drug-free supplements to help you manage occasional stress and anxiety. A special blend of herbals keeps you feeling calm and balanced throughout the day. Because when there's less stress, there's more you. Try new Natrol Relaxia. Learn more at relaxiamood.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
The Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission is here to assist veterans during this COVID-19 pandemic. Even though we are not meeting face-to-face, we are here for you. We understand it is a difficult time with this virus threat and the strain of implementing social distancing. For those Montgomery County veterans who have lost their source of income due to their employers having to close or reduce their business hours due to the COVID-19 pandemic, you may be eligible for COVID-19 special financial relief assistance. Please contact the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801 Monday through Friday for more information or to have an application sent to you. You can also visit mcvsc.org. The Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission is here to help Montgomery County veterans during the COVID-19 crisis. Call 937-225-4801 Monday through Friday or visit them online at mcvsc.org.
You know, I don't have a whole lot of friends to begin with, and I'm definitely not making a whole lot of friends today as far as that's concerned. I should have just said Tua sucks, Burrow is the best. Burrow is your MVP. No quarterback almost wins games the way Joe Burrow does. I mean, they're what? What?
Hey, man. It's the Justin Kinner Show.
I mean, last I checked, 1-4-1. You know, I'm just saying. We'll see. Anyways, all right, we'll get back into that later. 457-9464. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on a Tuesday. Hope everyone had a great day. We got lots more to get into. We're going to get back into that. We're going to take a look at some of the top matchups in the NFL coming up here to headline Week 7, including Kev's Steelers and the Titans. I cannot wait for that one. Big news out of the NFL today. Tua Tagovailoa named the starter for the Dolphins moving forward. Of course, it's a bye week for them, and we'll keep an eye on that situation as it unfolds. Again, the fact that they are ignoring the fact that Fitzpatrick had just won 2 games for them in a row and that they're 3-3 in a division that really is a toss-up. I don't think we know exactly who the Bills are. We know that they're the best of that group, but they're reeling a little bit. They were punched in the mouth twice in back-to-back weeks, and we'll see how they respond and rebound moving forward. But that division is it's vulnerable right now, so it's an interesting move from the Dolphins. Let's talk some NFL. Let's bring on ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. He joins us now. Jason, welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I think you were kinder than I have been today on how interesting the move is. I mean, the move makes little to no sense to me for the Dolphins. And it's not because I don't believe Tua is going to be spectacular. I do, but you're right. They're right in the thick of this playoff hunt. I don't understand the move when you've got momentum, which is the hardest thing to get and the easiest thing to lose in 2020.
You bring that up, and again, this is a situation, too, as I'm watching where the Texans could possibly end up, and they have that Texans pick, that next year's first-round pick. I mean, I'm not saying that they're tanking because they weren't really good at tanking last year. They won too many games to get up to that number one spot. They almost gave up all their first-round draft picks. No, but I'm not saying that they're tanking, but is it one of those two where they're like, oh, man, we're not trying to win too many games this year. We could potentially end up with 2 top 10 picks in this upcoming first round.
Well, I'm not sure about that just because they spent so much money this offseason. Their secondary, particularly, like they went out and spent cash. I think the Dolphins thought they were going to be pretty good. I just don't think that they understood that the rest of the East wasn't going to be pretty good. I mean, it's easy to presume that the Patriots are going to fix everything. I'm not willing to just turn around and make that presumption quickly. The real question here becomes the Bills. And frankly, the Bills are 4-0 against, and then 0-2 against good teams, right? So, who are the Bills? Is Josh Allen sustainable the way he's playing? I mean, those are questions we don't know the answer to. And for Miami, if they think that they have a shot at the division or the shot at a wild card, which is going to be really tough to get in the AFC, I'm not sure you can afford even one game. And it's fair to say, hey, Tua could cost you a game. Even if he's great, he could cost you a game in the, sort of the process of becoming a pro quarterback. There's got to be an adjustment.
Yeah, you talk about Buffalo being versus upper echelon caliber teams. We can say the same thing about the Browns, right?
I mean, you're right about that. I mean, and by the way, Dan Graziano always tells me, use my words. He tells me meh and aren't words. I disagree, Dan. But
I disagree too.
You're absolutely. I look at the Browns particularly, and look, at some point you got to look at Baker, and we've talked about Baker together before. At some point you got to look at Baker and say, okay, the running game is strong for this team. The offensive line grades out incredibly well for this team. He has weapons to throw to for this team. So he's got an offensive-minded coach that's supposed to be very good. They're running the ball so effectively. Like, what's the problem? And at some point, the problem can only be everybody else for so long. I mean, Baker's got to be better. And I don't think that's a hot take. And I'm not saying he can't be better. It's just when he doesn't play well, he costs his team games. Not even the like middle of the road, okay, somehow I didn't play well, but we can still manage. No, when Baker doesn't play well, the Browns lose. And so he's got to fix that. Like, all he has to do is not stink, and the Browns should be pretty good. The problem is sometimes Baker just goes out and lays an egg, and that's not something you can get used to for the fan base.
At a certain point, and again, Kevin Stefanski's come out and announced that, look, if he's healthy, he's the starter moving forward. Obviously, I don't think we're at the point yet where we're heavily talking about QB controversy there, but obviously going out and getting Case Keenum in the offseason. I remember when they signed him to a 3-year deal, and he's one of the highest paid backup quarterbacks in the league. And I remember pointing out then that said a lot about what the front office was kind of viewing big picture with Baker, is that you go around, no team out there signs backup quarterbacks for 3 years. And really, there's not a lot of quarterbacks out there that look to sign to be a backup for 3 years. I felt there was conversations behind closed doors saying, hey, there's a pretty good shot that Keenum could be the starter before it's all said and done by the end of this year. At what point, if this team continues to lose like they did yesterday, if they face another game like that where they have to say, hey, we have too much talent, we can't afford to waste all this talent just trying to force a square peg into a round hole, talking about Baker Mayfield?
Man, everything you've said makes 1,000% sense, and the answer would be in the next couple of weeks. It's just hard for me to wrap my head around Baker being given up on. And that's just a complete, I'll be the first to admit it, it's a complete brand bias to who I think we all think Baker was going to be, or thought Baker had the opportunity to be. I don't know that I ever looked at Baker and said, okay, he's going to be the next whatever, Dan Marino, right? But I still looked at Baker and thought, yeah, I mean, they got themselves a good quarterback. The thought that we're even having this conversation shows you that at this point it's failing. And I don't know how Kevin Stefanski fixes it. So then you got to look at it and say, okay, how long are you willing to go before you have to eventually throw it out? Because at some point, this is still a good enough Browns team to win a bunch of games. Like, if he's a liability, you got to move on, but you don't get to get that moment back. Like, the minute they bench Baker, I don't see how they ever get it back with him. So that would be sort of admitting that they made a mistake with the pick. And that's just tough to do 3 years in.
You want to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals and young Joe Burrow and these close matchups that he's had, through the interception this past week with the Colts. He had the tie with Philadelphia, and then obviously the missed kick in the opening week versus the Chargers and everything like that. Is it too early on Joe Burrow to say he can't get it done in the clutch?
Yeah, I think it is because, let's face it, as we talked about before, I don't think his receivers helped him at all in the first one. And, when a kicker misses an easy kick, that's not on him. I think that there's been times that he's been failed by everybody else. But the one thing we have said is that he can't let Cincinnati impact him. He's got to impact Cincinnati. That throw was not Joe Burrow. Like, that is just, I know it's one throw, and there's a lot of throws in the game, but that interception was a moment where I looked at it and thought, man, that is not the Joe Burrow that I expect. That's not the Joe Burrow that he expects. That's not the Joe Burrow that the Bengals demand. I mean, that's not the throw to make in that situation. You cannot place the ball that high and outside of the reach the way he did. It cost him the game, and that's a moment where it feels like a little bit of Cincinnati seeps into Joe Burrow. He's got to come back strong from that, because I think you've got to sort of reverse those tendencies, and that's going to take him playing really aggressively and really well.
One more thing about the Cincinnati Bengals, Randy Bullock. Obviously, he missed a kick in opening week versus the Chargers, but he also missed another kick this past weekend. I'm not a guy that says, oh, man, these guys need to be losing their job, man. But I don't understand, kickers, lose their jobs left and right in this league, man. I don't see how he's still employed with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that a lot. And I do think if there's any one spot that just comes with the territory, it's for kickers, right? I mean, that's just a level of what we expect. And frankly, shouldn't we sort of demand that? Like, being a kicker means that you are living in constant pressure, right? So if you're constantly being pressured, then in my mind, the pressure of having to make the kicks to keep your job is just part of that life. I'm with you. I mean, it can't be that hard to find kickers, but it feels like it is, man. It's the number of teams that have bad kickers is just, it's inexcusable to me. Like, where are all the good kickers? They all play in soccer now. Is everybody giving up on just place kicking? A ton of money in it. Go out and get it figured out.
ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz with us here on the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash on Dayton's ESPN Radio Station 1410 Wing AM. To go back to that Browns-Steelers game, I'm done talking about the Browns. Forget the Browns. The narrative was that the Browns were really bad, obviously, but I think that takes away from how good Pittsburgh played as well, because we could talk about how bad the Browns played and how bad Baker played, but the one strength about the Browns that we talked about was their run game. That offensive line is one of the best in football, and Pittsburgh's front four, or their front line, they absolutely demolished that offensive line for Cleveland. They physically made Cleveland look like they had no business being in that game. How good's Pittsburgh? Was that the game that you look at now and say, okay, even if it was Cleveland, that's the game that you looked at and said they put it all together? We saw dominant performance offensively and defensively.
Yeah, I 1,000%. And look, a few weeks ago when Kansas City beat Baltimore, at the time I said that was less a statement of Baltimore, more statement Kansas City. I do think that this game's a little statement on Cleveland, but it's also a big statement on the Steelers. And I don't know why people are really surprised by that. Like, I came into the season saying, hey, last year, had there been 7 playoff teams in each conference, they would have made the playoffs. And that was with people we've never heard of playing quarterback, right? Just getting Big Ben back was going to be enough to put them into that conversation. I mean, yeah, if you're winning games with Duck, you're doing better than most of the NFL.
Myles Garrett made Mason Rudolph famous last year, so
you are right about that.
I nailed that one on the head, didn't I?
I'm looking at this and I'm saying, man, this is simple. The Steelers are great. They're not good. They're great. The problem is Kansas City is still the best team in the NFL to me. So it's funny because Steelers fans became so angry at Mike Tomlin in one era for not winning a Super Bowl without acknowledging that they were up against, that epic moment of the Patriots every year. Well, this year, I think the Steelers could be the best team in the NFL. The problem is they're up against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are just a juggernaut.
All right, Jason, we'll send you out with this. I know we talked a lot of NFL, but I have a question about the Ohio State Buckeyes out of the Big Ten. The Big Ten finally kicks off their season this week, a month and a half after everyone else has. But they're only playing 8 games this year, and we just saw with Florida and we just saw with LSU how they had the luxury of being able to push back a big game and postpone it. Ohio State, you only get 8 weeks. You only get 8 games, and 8 games is still less than what the SEC, ACC, and others are playing. So I'm curious with this circumstance right here. Ohio State's undefeated at the end of the year, but they had to cancel a game due to an outbreak, whether it's their team or not. How can you put them in a college football playoff at 7-0 if everyone else has 10 or 11 games on their resume? Do you see a scenario that could present itself and be a real issue come playoff time?
The only reason I'd say no is because the body of work that we've gotten so far from the rest of the teams in college football has made most of them look really foolish. Like, the number of teams that have looked bad right now, I mean, we were doing it on one of the digital college football shows I hosted. The big conversation was, who's the fifth best team in the country right now? And that's not an easy question to answer when you start looking around and saying, well, who really belongs in the playoff? Like, I think the fact that we haven't seen the Big Ten is actually right now helping Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin, three teams that have high expectations coming in. So it all comes down to that Ohio State game at night, Happy Valley against Penn State. I think if that's an epic game, the Big Ten has a real shot at getting two teams in the playoffs, even if they play less games, because what we've seen from Georgia, Georgia against Bama wasn't good enough. It doesn't matter how you shake it out. It wasn't good enough. And Notre Dame and North Carolina do not pass the eye test, and the eye test is everything to the committee. So I expect, knowing that there's limitations on how many games the Big Ten can play, I think Ohio State's going to come out from day one trying to run it up on everybody and just remind everybody, it doesn't matter how many games we played, we won by 1,000 points a week, and that's going to be a big initiative for them. So I think it actually, in that sense, that's why they'll still be in, because they're going to kill everybody along the way.
You know, something I've been talking to Kenner about, you know, how sloppy college football has looked, it really hasn't looked good, is because these teams really didn't get that much practice time. But on the hindsight, the Big Ten has been practicing forever. So do you think the Big Ten teams will come out playing better football as opposed to the SEC and the Big 12 and ACC when they started playing?
They should. I mean, they should. But the one thing I would say about that is that I expected the SEC to look better than the Big 12, especially defensively. And I don't know why everybody keeps telling me, like, I've asked every analyst why we're holding SEC defense to a different standard than Big 12. And everybody keeps saying, well, it's different. It's different. No, I mean, these defenses have been awful so far this year. And I'm not going to make an exception just because they happen to wear Alabama jerseys instead of Oklahoma.
Means more.
So, I mean, yeah, well, maybe playing defense should mean something to the SEC because it's been bad so far. So, you know, I think the Big Ten should come out and look cleaner. But the one thing I'd say is that the committee is going to expect that. And that's one thing that is unfair in this process, is the committee is going to hold them to a different standard because they have had more time. So they're going to expect cleaner football from Ohio State than they've expected from Alabama. I don't think it's right. I just think it's human nature to what they're going to do.
All right, ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz, Spain and Fitz, weeknights from 7 to 9 p.m. right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. You can hear Jason coming up later on tonight. Jason, thanks so much for your time. We look forward to this every week. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
You too. All right, 457-9464. That's the number you can call in, and we'll feed off of what we just talked about there. Interesting points he made about the perception of the SEC, how we forgive them for not playing defense, but yet we crucify the Big 12 for not doing it. I think obviously history kind of makes up, like the Big 12 is known for not playing defense, to where the SEC is not known for that. But remember earlier when I said when Ohio State blows out Penn State even by 11, like we talked about, but like Wisconsin, that top 10 matchup last year, and I'm like, oh man, that hurt the Big 10 because you just saw Ohio State just demolish another top 10 team, and it just proved that they're really not that good. That perception only exists with the Big 10. And the SEC, we just watched Georgia get embarrassed by Alabama in a top 5 matchup, and they only dropped one spot, and they're still in the top 4. If the playoff was today, Georgia would still be in, even after getting shellacked like that by Georgia. So it is interesting, when we talk about that, it just means more. I know people hate that. I'm not saying that that's what has anything to do with this, but that's another example of one of those things where the SEC gets the benefit of the doubt versus other conferences.
And especially Georgia. I don't think Georgia should be getting the benefit of the doubt. Like, they haven't won a national championship since Herschel Walker back in '82. You know what I'm saying? This isn't something that teams should be getting the benefit of the doubt. Like, Florida doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. They won a national championship in the 2000s. I don't like the narrative always switches from team to team and conference to conference about what team gets the benefit of the doubt. It's very strange how college football works, but that's how it is. And that's why it has a fan base the way it does, because the narrative constantly switches. We talk about Clemson now. But you know what? No more than 6 years ago, Clemsoning was a thing. Blowing leads was Clemsoning. Now it's
the falconing.
Yeah. There was a time not too long ago, Pat White put up 77 on them in the Orange Bowl. You know what I'm saying? But, that's how narratives switch. You win some games. You beat LSU in the Chick-fil-A game. Then you're in the national championship hunt the next year. And then you win a national championship. And then you're back in there again. And then you win another one. Then you're back in there. So all that stuff before is forgotten.
Well, I think what has a lot to do with it, too. Recruiting classes.
Yeah.
I do believe that common sense, and not like saying you do, what I mean is I think for common sense for the committee is they go back and they look, this team, they just got beat by Alabama, but man, they have 4 and 5 stars all over the place. So they get the benefit of the doubt more than some other teams who maybe don't have as many. And that sounds very simplistic, but sometimes the simplest answer is the only answer. And I think that's what it comes down to as well. It's the only thing you could just, outside of saying, it's just the SEC. Ohio State gets that benefit of the doubt a lot of times too. And for anyone out there that disagrees, keep in mind they made a college football playoff one year after the Big Ten champion was held out. Ohio State lost to the Big Ten champion, and the committee still kept the Big Ten champion out because Ohio State, just on paper, But then they've also been ignored for that too, like 2015. But they had a whole season of playing below par as far as that goes. Let's pick up with this when we get back because I didn't really look at that time. Holy smokes! I don't handle the clock well. I think the Bengals are online too. They want to hire me to coach. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go anywhere.
Make it a Redbox night with an edge-of-your-seat action thriller that can't be missed. Rent Ava, starring Jessica Chastain. Ava is a notorious assassin who travels the globe specializing in high-profile hits. However, when a job goes dangerously wrong, she is forced to fight for her own survival. Rent Ava, along with other new movies, tonight. Head to one of the 40,000 Redbox locations. Stream on your smart TV or visit redbox.com for all the ways to watch.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Of course we can help you find some new headlights. Here's a tip. Make sure to replace them in pairs so you'll have even lighting over time. Right now you can get a $10 AutoZone gift card by mail or email when you buy a Sylvania HID bulb. And with our free next day delivery and free same day store pickup, you can get it fast. Getting the job done just got easier. Free next day delivery on eligible orders. Restrictions at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Roosters would like to thank all of our loyal guests and all the loyal Buckeye fans for your support this year. Because of you, we've been able to stay open and keep our award-winning team employed. Our team members go above and beyond and are dedicated to providing you and your family the safest dining experience possible while still providing a fun, casual atmosphere to relax, laugh, and enjoy our award-winning food. Roosters, the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Give your walls a fresh new look with Dutch Boy DuraClean interior paint from Menards and get 11% off. DuraClean is a paint and primer in one with a beautiful look that's washable, scrubbable, stain resistant, and stays clean. Right now, all Dutch Boy paint is 11% off. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through October 24th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Interested in helping Dayton students succeed? Don't miss the Dayton Public Schools Drive-Through Career Fair on Thursday, October 22nd between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. at Welcome Stadium. Masks are required. See the full list of positions and apply now at DaytonPublic.com.
Hi, Joey Beckett here at Buckeye Ford in Sydney, home of the Works package and the Double Take Tire specials. Call today for your appointment. 937-419-8473 or 1-800-700-0050. Buckeye Ford in Sydney, exit 92 off of I-75. We'll see you soon.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. No-touch freight, home daily lanes. Earn up to $270 per day, $2,000 sign-on bonus. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Apply online, CordellTransportation.com.
It's time for Straight Talk, just like football. You want the best coverage with your wireless network without your wallet taking a hit? Straight Talk Wireless gives you the same nationwide coverage as the big carriers, America's best networks, for up to 50% less. Just $45 a month for 25 gigs of high-speed data than 2G with an unlimited plan. No contract, no mystery fees. Don't get sidelined by weak protection. Get Straight Talk Wireless. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
O'Reilly. It's Superstart Battery Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. That means you can get up to a $25 gift card after mail-in rebate with the purchase of your Superstart battery. Return power, performance, and reliability to your car, truck, motorcycle, and more with Superstart batteries only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Staples helps your business go big with everything you need at amazing prices. From office essentials like paper and ink to health essentials like masks and sanitizer. Save big at Staples.
Buckeye fans, it's finally game week. Join us this Saturday on 1410 ESPN Radio as the Ohio State Buckeyes welcome in Nebraska. Pre-game starts at 10:30 with kickoff at noon. Every big hit, every touchdown, every Buckeye victory. Don't miss a second of the action all season long on Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes. 1410 ESPN Radio. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
Big thanks to ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz for taking time and hanging out with us here today on the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. If you missed the interview, don't worry. Make sure you subscribe and download the Justin Kinner Show podcast in your Apple iTunes, Google Play Store. You can go back and listen to shows in their entirety, select segments, and all interviews like the one we just had with Jason Fitz. You can go back and re-listen to those at your leisure. Of course, you can also access all of those at wingam.com. Click on the Watch the Justin Kinner on the ESPN on the Watch ESPN Dayton tab. Up in the upper left-hand corner of wingam.com. You'll be able to go back and watch full episodes, select segments, and all interviews as we just discussed. A lot of interesting news notes that we talked about with Jason as far as that's concerned. But as we did discuss with the Browns, as far as Baker Mayfield is concerned, the Browns, they have big decisions to make. Like everyone's talking about, like, oh, moving forward. I saw an article today talking about how, picking up his option heading into next offseason. I mean, this is year 3, next year's year 4. You have the opportunity to potentially pick up the option like the Cowboys just did with Dak Prescott, before coming into this year. I don't even think it makes it that far. I do believe next year could potentially be the last year the Baker's with the Browns, depending on how the rest of this season pans out. But for everyone out there that I just saw a note on Facebook a little bit ago, someone said they just need to rip the Band-Aid off and get Keenum out there. If you look back at this Steelers game this past weekend, Keenum got a decent amount of PT. It's not like he came in the last drive of the night. The Browns didn't look any different or any better with Keenum out on the field. So Baker's the problem. Keenum's the problem. Quarterback is the problem. And you can say this. They have quite a few issues on defense. They don't have a lot of issues on offense. Baker's the biggest issue they have on offense. I can't believe I'm sitting here after all the smack I talk, sitting here actually saying this. But the Browns would be absolutely stupid to ignore all the talent they have on this roster just to force a square peg in a round hole, hoping that all of a sudden Baker's just magically going to get it from one week to the other. There are really good teams that have significantly less talent than the Browns have. And the Browns are wasting this talent. And they're wasting it, unfortunately, and I can't believe I'm saying this, because of Baker Mayfield's play right now. That's why weeks ago when you talked about the game manager role for him, I'm like, that's a problem. If you are labeling him as a game manager, that means he's not your guy, because this roster is not built for a game manager.
I think this roster is perfectly built for a game manager.
Not when you have explosive playmakers at wide receiver. No, you have to have a guy that's capable of at least throwing.
But that's the offense. The offense is set up for it to be a game manager. Heavy with the run game. Heavy
set
with
it
the
up
flash.
because Stefanski's setting up.
Look, that's how the offense was ran with Minnesota.
Who were his quarterbacks?
Case Keenum and Kirk Cousins.
Keenum, game manager, and what Baker is, interception machine. Like you're not. If you need to tell me if Stefanski was running a Patrick Mahomes offense, you would tell Patrick Mahomes, yeah, you need to manage this offense. You're not going to be all throwing 300 yards and stuff. We're not going to put up with that crap here. No. Like what I mean is, if you had a quarterback that's capable of doing that, hold on, BS Kinner starters weren't out there with him. That is ludicrous. Shaw, stop. It's Case freaking Keenum. It's not Brett Favre in his prime sitting behind Baker Mayfield. It's Case Keenum. It's Case Keenum. He's not any better or worse than Baker. It is, other than a veteran who maybe will turn the ball over less than Baker, he's not winning you games. The offense will not look better with Case Keenum. You'll still be punting the same amount of times. There'll be less turnovers, which obviously that's an upgrade right there. But to act like Case Keenum's going to come in and just take this Browns to the top of the division, that's a lie. And if you think Jarvis Landry and OBJ and those guys are going to be excited to play with Case Keenum, they're not. They were excited to play with Baker because the history of Baker showed that he was able to make plays, explosive plays down the field. That's why they went and got an OBJ. Look at Baker's rookie year. He was throwing bombs down the field. Big play after big play. That offense came alive when he took over. They were scoring in the 30s, 40s regularly. He threw 27 touchdowns. Like the guy was, he looked legit. He looked more legit than the guy that Bengals fans are drooling over right now in his rookie year. And he has been straight garbage since. And I've been trying to be patient. Say, oh, well, he's going to go back to that. He's going to go back to that. He's moving further and further away from that as each week goes by. And he'll probably come out this week and have a big game because it's the Bengals, but I'm not going to put a lot of stock in that because it's the Bengals defense. So he is proving he can't win against good teams. And that's the problem. And this is Baker lover Kinner over here. I'm being honest.
So what's the play? I mean, you don't want to plug in a rookie into the system. You want to plug in a veteran, right?
Agreed.
So what's the play?
The play is not happening this year, but the play is because everyone's going to say, well, do you trade OBJ? Do you trade Jarvis? No, you leave them. You worked hard to get OBJ. You worked hard to get Jarvis here. You worked hard to get Hooper. You did a great job drafting Nick Chubb. You did a great job in working out a very friendly deal with Kareem Hunt, who obviously was nothing this past weekend. That offensive line was nothing. The receivers were nothing. The quarterback, everyone was nothing against Pittsburgh this weekend. So this isn't on anyone particular other than the quarterback. That's just how this game works. You always blame the quarterback. But my point is that moving forward, they got to not look to move any pieces off that roster. I don't even say you move Baker, but you got to go out. If you get a Matt Ryan will do very well in this offense. He will find ways to get OBJ involved. He'll find ways to get Jarvis involved. He won't turn the ball over as much. Matt Ryan makes a lot of sense in Cleveland next year. And I know people say, oh, it's Cleveland. No one's going to Cleveland. No one was going to Cleveland because you had rosters that were basically headlined by Deshaun Kaiser years ago. This roster is actually sexy enough that if you look at some of the quarterbacks who are available next offseason, it's not that bad of a landing spot outside of the fact that maybe people would shy away from wanting to go up against the Steelers in Baltimore 4 times throughout a 16, 17-game season.
Another thing people got to realize about that whole, well, nobody's going to Cleveland, whatever. This is the NFL. This isn't the NBA. In the NBA, guys try to force their way to the big markets. In the NFL, people try to force their way to places they can win games. So if a quarterback out there thinks they can win games with the Browns, they'll go to Cleveland. If Matt Ryan part ways with the Falcons and he sees an opportunity to win games and potentially get back to a Super Bowl, he'll go wherever. If that's the Cleveland Browns, that's where he'll go. I don't think that's a bad play. I mean, depending on how the Falcons finish this season with Raheem Morris at the helm now, they put up crazy points. Didn't give up a lot of points this past week. We'll see how that goes this week versus the Detroit Lions and everything like that. We'll see how their season ends and see how they move forward. But, that's a play possibly. I'm trying to think about other potential quarterbacks that are going to be available, not only free agency wise, but also you just looking at teams that don't really meet their expectations, because that's really the person that you'll be looking at. A quarterback that's on the team that doesn't meet expectations, because a free agent quarterback, normally they don't leave town. Normally, if you're the guy for them, you become a free agent, they franchise you like that, or they give you a big contract like they did with Deshaun and Patrick Mahomes. So I'm just trying to think, what other guys out there would they make a play for? I really can't think of any besides Matty Ice off the top of my head.
Obviously him. Look, this is a long shot. Remember, we brought this up earlier. Dak Prescott. If the Cowboys decide, if the Cowboys are as bad as what they were last night, they may find themselves in that Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. They may find themselves in that Justin Fields sweepstakes. So to sit there and act like Dak Prescott's for sure going to be a Cowboy moving forward, I still think it's unlikely that the Cowboys just say, yeah, we're done. Sorry that we screwed you over, didn't pay you, and that you had a potential career altering injury, but that is the reality here. Don't act like if the Cowboys end up having a top 3 pick and Justin Fields is right there, do you really think they're not going to take him?
I think the Cowboys will be smart to trade that pick and get a whole bunch of picks to fix a whole lot of problems on their team. That's what I think the smart play would be.
But that doesn't happen. I know what you're saying. We talked about that with the Bengals, who had so many holes that, they weren't a Joe Burrow away from anything. Although, by the way, I was all about getting the quarterback. The toughest thing in the world is finding the quarterback. It's so hard to find a quarterback, which is why I thought it would be dumb to trade for all the picks from the Dolphins. They needed to take Joe Burrow because you need the quarterback. Mm-hmm. You get the quarterback. They clearly don't have all the holes filled right now, but I think that's why Bengals fans aren't panicking about how bad they look this year. It's because, who cares? We got our quarterback. Right. That's all that matters. I mean, they had all the pieces and they didn't feel good about Andy Dalton. That's why Bengals Bengals fans didn't thoroughly enjoy the run with Andy Dalton because there was always that thing in the back of their head saying something still just doesn't quite look right. Now with Burrow, nothing looks right, but it all seems okay because you have your guy under center that you really like in Joe Burrow. So I do think that the quarterback really matters from a marketing standpoint, from everything. I don't know if Justin Fields checks off the boxes of marketability for the Dallas Cowboys, but man, like I said, it's a long shot. But the Dallas Cowboys, if for whatever random reason Trevor Lawrence is right there, look out. Because I do see them going that route. But it's unlikely Dak Prescott's there. Phillip Rivers, no, pass. Please move on. You have Jacoby Brissett, Mitchell Trubisky, Ryan Fitzpatrick could be available. But the other one that we haven't talked about that I still think makes a ton of sense outside of Matt Ryan, Garoppolo could potentially be available because the other team that's looking after Matt Ryan is the 49ers, who makes a lot of sense there.
So from one game manager to another.
Garoppolo can make plays down the field. Not as consistently. He's more than a game manager. And by the way, when he goes to teams, they win.
He's a game manager. There's nothing wrong with that. He's a game manager.
By the way, and he outplayed Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl last year.
Did he?
Oh my God, yes, he outplayed Patrick Mahomes.
Now, when you overthrow a wide open,
you are one damn play going to highlight the whole thing in the Super Bowl.
No, there's more than one play. He threw an interception with his eyes closed too.
Listen, I'm not saying he should have been Super Bowl MVP by any means. But to sit there and act like he was straight trash, that's absolutely ridiculous.
When you throw an interception with your eyes.
Porn stars. How cool would that be? He is so cool.
That's why.
That is the coolest thing about him.
Shots out.
No, Cam Newton. Cam Newton. If he doesn't re-sign, Cleveland has cap space. They have plenty of cap space. Cam Newton could potentially come to Cleveland next year. They're not going the route of drafting one because they're so good at it, apparently. They're not going to draft a quarterback. They're going to go hit the market, whether it's Matt Ryan, whether it's Cam Newton, trading for one, and who knows what happens. There's a lot of guys out there. What about the Raiders? The Raiders already were a little iffy about Carr. I'm not a big Carr guy, but Carr could potentially be available through trade or whatever it could end up being. All I'm saying is the Browns,
of money.
The Browns have a lot of options as far as that's concerned. I want to go back. David Shaw says, why can Keenum take Minnesota deep into the playoffs, but he can't do anything in Cleveland? Come on. He had one magical season. Okay. Keenum's not a terrible quarterback, but you're not going to convince me that he is head and shoulders better than Baker to the point where this team is all this. They're going to make the playoffs even with Baker at quarterback.
And that's my whole thing about it. So if the Browns make the playoffs, y'all Browns fans still not going to be satisfied.
I'm satisfied. I'm fine with that because that's the next step in the progression of the roster.
Like people want to go
Baker
from
got commercials and he's taking shirtless pictures with tigers next to cars and people started hating on him right away saying, he thinks he's a Super Bowl winner, which is such a Gumby couldn't stretch that far. But, Browns haters are all about it. So that's why, he's a cocky personality. People hate him. So people elevated. Now, Browns fans too. I was the annoying one saying he's the third best quarterback in the AFC North already.
Rank him.
And then Lamar Jackson owes me so much because, at that time Lamar was just a backup to, Joe Flacco, which I wasn't wrong at the time. He was, the second best quarterback in the AFC North. His rookie year, he was better than Joe Flacco. He was definitely better than Andy Dalton. And he was not better than Big Ben. But that's why I'm saying I'm putting him behind Big Ben that rookie year, but he's been straight crap since then. You got it out of me.
Rank him now.
Right now, I'm still not putting Joe Burrow ahead of Baker Mayfield. I don't care what anybody says. I do not think this Browns team is any better with Joe Burrow at quarterback. I really do. You think that Joe Burrow and the Browns beat the Steelers this past Sunday if they have Joe Burrow?
Doubtful.
It's not doubtful. It's a no. It's a straight no. I'm taking a huge left turn from where I was. Rank him. Lamar, Big Ben, which, by the way, Lamar, is he taking a step back or is the offense protecting him more and not letting him be as reckless isn't a great word to use, but they're managing him a lot more than they did last year. They're not just letting him run all over the place.
The explosive plays in the run game are not there this year. That seam route that was working like the first 2 weeks of the season, I don't know what happened with Mark Andrews, but he's out here butterfingers. Like maybe he got blasted and I don't know about it. So he's like going up there, alligator arming it lately. I saw him alligator a couple passes against the Bengals. I saw him alligator a pass against Philadelphia. But those explosive plays aren't there right now. And that's like how their whole offense is built around explosive plays, not only in the run game, but in the passing game. That intermediate route stuff really isn't their thing yet, especially for Lamar. So that's why I am a big proponent of, not proponent of it because I would hate for him to go there because I would have to play against him. But that's why I believe Antonio Brown will end up there once his suspension is over. I think he will be showing up there day one, ready to play.
Yeah, and
they need somebody. They need somebody else. I mean, Marquise Brown is on the outside. They got Willie Snead in the slot and Andrews. You can't tell me another weapon on the outside that they have. So that's a perfect landing place for an Antonio Brown, unless they're going to make a play to try to trade for Julio or something like that. They're about to hit the nuke button in Atlanta, give up everybody or something.
As of right now, just 6 weeks in, okay, the way they've played, Big Ben is playing the best football in the AFC North right now, quarterback-wise.
Very efficient.
I would put Big Ben one. This isn't like, who you're going to build a team around moving forward.
Right.
Who's right now ranking the quarterback? It's Big Ben. It's Lamar. I'm still putting Baker. Baker is going to, right now, the only game people are thinking about is this Pittsburgh game. He was not bad before that game. He had a bad game against the Ravens. And I'm not saying he was great, but he wasn't terrible. And Joe Burrow's a rookie who's constantly on his back. His team's not winning games, so I can't put Joe Burrow above Baker Mayfield. That's not me hating. It's just the reality of it. So, Big Ben, Lamar, Baker, Burrow. And not by much, by the way. Not by much. And if Burrow had an offensive line, maybe it's different. But as of right now, he doesn't, and that's keeping him from maybe taking that next step. And regardless of whether that's an excuse or not, which I do think it's an excuse because we just don't know, it is what it is. But I still have Baker above Burrow. And when I was talking about the Browns moving on from Baker, they can make the playoffs with Baker this year. But this team is built explosively enough. They make some changes defensively in the offseason. Super Bowl is not that stupid to talk about if they have the right quarterback in place. When you have the weapons you do offensively, when you have that offensive line, when you have that run game, I look at the Titans. That's who, I mean, they don't even need a great quarterback. Tannehill's been fantastic as much as I can't stand him. Schroeder, you better be listening because I'm just ripping this Band-Aid off now. The Browns, there's a huge gap between the Titans and Browns, and it's at quarterback and it's defensively. And the Titans have fine-tuned some things defensively the last couple of weeks because they didn't look good defensively the first couple. But all the teams in the NFL right now that are in the, leading their division, great offensive line play, great run game, strong defense. Steelers, that's their game. Elevated quarterback. And look at the Bears. The Bears are winning the AFC, or the NFC. They're winning their division right now. Every team that is good right now, it's all about what's up front, defense, run game. And the Browns are not that far. They are a quarterback away from being in that contending for that division. I had the Browns contending for the division at the beginning because I thought Baker was going to take that next step because of coaching, because the skill set around him, because of the better offensive line. And he has not taken that next step, and that's on him. And that's on me for being stupid enough to put my mouth out there like that. So I'm just saying.
What was your prediction of the game last week?
Oh, you found it, huh? I don't know why you didn't come in and record it. I wasn't going to do your dirty work for you.
I was running late, man. I'm going to get it on the hotkeys. Don't worry.
Ron says that Fitzpatrick would win with that team. If you put Fitzpatrick in at quarterback for the Browns right now, how good are they?
Fitzpatrick's going to Fitzpatrick. He's going to win some games that you would like, dang, they won that game. And then he's going to be throw a ton of interceptions. Like, I mean, with Fitzpatrick, man, I just don't know, man.
Baker Mayfield's a poor man, Fitzpatrick, because you don't know what you're going to get out of him on a week-to-week basis. But he doesn't have that explosiveness to put points up like Fitzpatrick. Like Fitzpatrick on any given, like Fitzpatrick in Cleveland right now, on any given week they could drop 40+ points.
Absolutely.
But they can also look like the way they did. Like Baker was a problem Sunday, but let's stop acting like he was the only problem. That offensive line, it was a snowball effect. But Baker set the tone with that stupid interception, idiot. God, he ticks me off. I defended him a lot. I defended him an awful lot, and I look so stupid right now for many reasons. Go to my hair, I haven't shaved, the glasses. I look really. But Baker Mayfield has really taken someone who looks as stupid as I do and made me look stupider. It's really frustrating. Now, when he comes out and lights it up on Sunday, you best believe back on Monday, he's back, baby. I'm going to be like the biggest Texas and Michigan fan in the world. He's back. All right. Top 5, bottom 5. Kevin, I will give you our top 5, bottom 5 NFL teams coming up around the corner. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. We'll even bring it out curbside. Or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly. Auto Parts.
Sponsored by Labyrinth Labs.
Men, are you tired of those daily blue enhancement pills that take days, weeks, or months to work, if they ever work at all? Listen up. Now you can take Red, the new natural male empowerment pill that works on demand. Even your partner will notice the difference the very first time you use it. To prove Red won't disappoint like the others, you're invited to participate in our nationwide I Take Red Partner Reaction Guarantee Trial. We're seeking participants for this nationwide trial, not only to prove it works the very first time you try it. We guarantee your partner will also notice the difference. Forget those slow-acting blue pills and join those who proudly take Red. Over 50,000 pills have already been claimed and supplies are limited. So to ensure your participation in this free nationwide trial, you must call now.
Superior virility on demand. You only need to take Red once to see what all the fuss is about. Call immediately to participate in our free nationwide trial. Call 1-800-718-3112. 1-800-718-3112. Be one of thousands to proudly say, I take Red. 1-800-718-3112.
When you needed your mom, she was always there with the Vicks Vapor Rub. She used that soothing scent to calm you. And her mom used it to calm her. And her mom, well, you get the idea. Vicks Vapor Rub's always been there. It always made you feel better. And today, it still does. Bring back those childhood memories with the comfort and care only Vicks Vapor Rub can bring. Vicks Vapor Rub, family tradition for a reason.
What's hot for business this week at Staples?
Small prices, big savings.
Help your business go big with amazing prices on everything you need to pack and ship.
Right now at Staples, save 20% on UPS expedited shipping services. Plus, save up to 30% on select shipping supplies.
Shop in-store or get same-day delivery through Instacart and save big at Staples.
Ends 10/31 while supplies last. In-store only. See store for details. Instacart fees, taxes, and or tips may apply. Delivery subject to availability. Additional terms apply.
They can bulge, go bald, wear down, flatten, or be in dire need of replacing.
No, guys, it's not you.
We're talking about your tires. Let Fat Boys get your car rolling again. Safe and sound. Fat Boys carries tires in all makes, styles, and sizes, including Continental, Goodyear, Michelin, and more. Check out Fat Boys' new location in North Dayton at the corner of Needmore and I-75 or 3050 Springboro Pike in South Dayton. Fat Boys, your ultimate resource for wheels, tires, service, and accessories. Look for Fat Boys at fatboysdayton.com.
While serving in Iraq, an IED took both my legs, but it didn't take my spirit.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I'm Greg Gatson, Army veteran.
DAV helps veterans and their families get the benefits they've earned.
Today, I'm an entrepreneur, photographer, and public speaker.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
My victory is just being the best that I can be.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Election Day is November 3rd. If you plan to vote by mail, plan ahead at usps.com/votinginfo. There you will find helpful resources, such as guidance for successfully using the mail, links to find your state's rules and deadlines, information for military and overseas voters, and more. The U.S. Postal Service is ready to deliver for you. Make sure you're ready too. Start today at usps.com/votinginfo.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Making it easier for you to get the frickin' chicken. Remember Frickers.com. That puts you in touch with everything you crave. Frickin' chicken wings, burgers, ribs, salads, wraps, everything you crave. Should you crave an ice-cold domestic draft beer? Join us and dine in. We have a 48-ounce personal pitcher for only $6. Dine in, carry out, delivery, and now order online at Frickers.com. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits is the home to order online at Frickers.com.
Hi, this is Chris Bermick, co-owner of Butler Heating and Air Conditioning. I support LaRonda Jackson for state representative. LaRonda is reliable and responsive when called upon. Her follow-up said a lot to me about her commitment to local businesses. LaRonda Jackson is a successful business owner, and I appreciate her desire to create a better community for all of us. If you live in District 40 and want vision, unity, and values, vote LaRonda Jackson for state representative.
Paid for by Friends of LaRonda Jackson.
My name is Kate Courtley, and this is my new show, Can You Survive This Podcast? I'll be drawing on my years as a former Navy SEAL platoon commander, sniper, and CIA contractor. The show is designed to teach you techniques that will increase your chances of survival if you happen to find yourself or your family in any life-threatening disaster scenario imaginable. Subscribe and listen for free on Apple Podcasts. Can You Survive This Podcast?
The all-new Audible now gives you thousands of select audiobooks, podcasts, originals, and more, all included with membership. Try it for free for 30 days. Visit audible.com.
Follow ESPN 1410 Wing AM on Facebook to watch The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Listen, stream, and now watch. It's The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
O'Reilly. It's Superstart Battery Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. That means you can get up to a $25 gift card after mail-in rebate with the purchase of your Superstart battery. Return power, performance, and reliability to your car, truck, motorcycle, and more with Superstart batteries. Only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Oh, my stomach.
Don't worry, I've got you covered.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
What's that?
It's Pepto-Bismol Chews.
Pepto-Bismol's now in a chew?
Yeah, they taste great and provide fast relief. And now you can always have Pepto-Bismol handy.
Let me try it.
Try new Pepto-Bismol Chews for fast relief.
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
We're out there, building, lifting. We don't have time to deal with delicate clothes. We need canvas work gear, one of the strongest fabrics around. Carhartt is known for it, and it's at Boot Barn. Everything from flame-resistant canvas pants built to last, to the canvas jacket proudly made in the USA. Boot Barn carries over 500 styles of Carhartt work gear, because we need durability. Boot Barn Work. Everything you need, no fluff.
T-Mobile for Business knows saving time and money is important for your business. That's why we're introducing Microsoft 365 on us, now included in our best business plans. With Office apps, Microsoft Teams, cloud storage, and more, Microsoft 365 on us gives you the tools you need to run your business. Stop by a T-Mobile store today. Qualifying plan required. Contactless to activate. 1 license per line, max 2 per account. Third-party terms apply. See T-Mobile.com for plan details.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. And MLS number 3030.
When you're stressed, you just don't feel like yourself. New Natrol Relaxia, a full line of drug-free supplements to help you manage occasional stress and anxiety. A special blend of herbals keeps you feeling calm and balanced throughout the day. Because when there's less stress, there's more you. Try new Natrol Relaxia. Learn more at relaxiamood.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Staples helps your business go big with everything you need at amazing prices. From office essentials like paper and ink to health essentials like masks and sanitizer. Save big at Staples.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash, back with you on 1410 ESPN Radio. One suggestion coming. We're live on Facebook. Listen, stream, and now watch. Kyle McGuire on Facebook says the Browns should trade for Dwayne Haskins and try to get Matt Ryan. Have Haskins learn behind Matty Ice. Folks, I know he's a Buckeye, but we got to stop. Haskins isn't good. He's not pro good. A lot has to go right for his development moving forward. Kevin and I were talking about this during the break. You, as a rookie, it's very important that you end up in the right place at the right time because there are no examples. There are not a lot of examples, not many at all, that a quarterback who was amazingly good in college gets drafted to a bad team, that team ruins him, and then a good team finds him and turns him into something. The closest thing we could think of was...
dang, I just drew a blank. We just had on. I should have wrote it down.
Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
So
Adam Gase down in Miami.
Dominant in college?
No, he was never dominant in college.
He was
a wide receiver his first 2 years at Texas A&M, and then a quarterback his last year. Got drafted in the first round by the Dolphins. Shouts out to you guy. Adam Gase is doing great things with the New York Giants currently. He bombed out there and signed to be a backup with Tennessee, and then once Mariota flamed out, they put him in there. He played good last year, and right now he is balling.
See, but Tannehill, then he's not a good example then, because I guess I meant like someone like Haskins who was elite in college.
Yeah,
goes to NFL and just looks night and day different. Like, so you were saying, maybe if he goes to Pittsburgh, I would trust that Pittsburgh can maybe kind of resurrect his career, can maybe fix some flaws. Alex Smith is one. Steve Young, Charles Tackett.
Because Alex Smith basically was trash all the way through his career with the 49ers. And once they built up the team around him, they got good. Harbaugh that first year, and then that second year he got pulled and they put Kaepernick in, and then that's when they super exploded. So he was never like great with 49ers, but he wasn't never horrible. Like, he got real good with KC, got real good, but he wasn't terrible. Because, it wasn't like they tried to replace him. They drafted Kaepernick, and Kaepernick was good enough to replace him.
He says Steve Young was a mess in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So that's probably as close to a good example as I could think of in regards to elite in college. Flamed out his first team he was drafted to, and then resurrected his career. So no, that's a great example. There's not many. So that's why it's important when you go to a team. That's why, as much as I bash Eli Manning and stuff, it is very important that you do go to a good organization, because how many good quarterbacks, great quarterbacks in college, flame out in the pros. Now, maybe it's not fair to blame the organization. A lot of it has to do with style of play. A lot of it has to, maybe you just fit no one ruined Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow wasn't ruined.
Right.
Tim Tebow just wasn't a good pro quarterback.
Right.
But I look at Dwayne Haskins and his strengths in college. I look at Cardale Jones, small sample size, but what he did in college using some Buckeyes. It just, you would think that some of that would translate well over into the pros, and it doesn't. And it's not because they go to bad situations like Washington. No, Dwayne Haskins, like I read that, I saw all the Buckeye blogger boys out there, with their little blog websites talking about, if only he would have gone to a better organization. I don't think Dwayne Haskins was going to be good anywhere. You know what I mean? It's no offense. So if he goes to Pittsburgh, maybe there's a shot that they could end up kind of resurrecting his career. But what does that even mean? It just means getting him back on his feet to maybe look serviceable as far as that's concerned. Maybe. I just don't anticipate that happening. David Shaw says Alex Smith flamed out with 49ers, then led Chiefs to the playoffs. Yeah, but Alex Smith, I'm going to be honest here. I know how dominant was he in college. Really, really good in college.
Undefeated.
Yeah, but when watching him play, was it the same type of thing as watching Dwayne Haskins play, watching Cardale Jones play, watching Tua, watching Trevor Lawrence?
He was Tim Tebow.
I'm not mocking it. I'm just asking.
He was Tim Tebow with an arm. Granted, it was Utah, and the competition level wasn't the same as the SEC. But the way Herb was running that offense, he was the superstar. He was the first pick in the NFL draft.
Plunkett, Heisman winner. Look, with all due respect, Charles, and I appreciate that. I don't really care about winning the Heisman, because Tebow's a prime example of a guy who's won an award. That award doesn't always guarantee you success in the pros. You look at Johnny Manziel, you look at, obviously Baker Mayfield. All right. That doesn't automatically make you, mean you're going to be good in the pros. I guess I just mean no one ever was dominant in college, flamed out with the first team that they're drafted to, then they get released and go somewhere else, and then they're just as dominant in the pros as they were in college because they're in the right situation. Steve Young's that's the best example so far. Alex Smith, I don't know. I guess when you watched him, did you get the same feeling in your stomach that you do watching like Trevor Lawrence or like one, Dwayne Haskins or one of those guys? I guess I'm not downplaying what he accomplished. I know it was really good.
To be honest, man, it was such a long time ago.
That's why I'm at
it was a very long time ago. And I'll get nerdy for a real quick second here on Dwayne Haskins. Brett Favre,
drafted to the Falcons.
But he was just a backup. He didn't flame out. He was just a backup, and he was traded as a.
But if he was legit, he would not have been a backup. Ron, I'm gonna give you that. Ron, you got a couple good ones today. I know we butt heads a lot, but I'll give him that one.
He was a backup at Atlanta, and he was a backup with Green Bay until Don Majkowski got hurt. Like, I don't think anybody ever thought like, oh man, Brett Favre is about to be the man. He went to
fair, but Ron's still a good one. But you're right though, because for my comparison, it was dominant in college. For sure, you're going to be drafted high. For sure, you're going to go in to have success, and that's obviously not the case with Dwayne Haskins.
I'll get nerdy with Ohio State and Dwayne Haskins and Cardale for that matter. A lot of the things that Cardale and Dwayne do well is the long ball, right? They throw outside the numbers. In the NFL, the outside the number throws aren't there like they are in college football because you have superior athletes on the outside. In the NFL, you are forced to read the coverage. So you're forced to throw the ball inside where traffic is. That's why when we were watching that Browns and Washington football game, it seems like he threw it directly to the linebacker. Yeah, we can see it because we have the all 22 coverage of the TV and everything like that. Well, how come he couldn't see it? And same thing about Baker, like he threw the interception to Mika. Well, how come he didn't see him? He's right there. Well, he's not seeing what you're seeing because he's looking at outside coverage. And then when you come back in, that's where all the hectic stuff happens. That's where all the interceptions happen inside the numbers. And Ohio State's offense is designed for quarterbacks to succeed because they have superior weapons and they throw outside the numbers. Dwayne Haskins rarely threw inside the numbers at Ohio State. And he was a one-year starting quarterback at Ohio State, something that I would always steer away from. Sanchez, another one-year starting quarterback at college. It's something about getting those reps. It's something about seeing a ton of different defenses that would make me feel more comfortable if I was drafting a quarterback. As far as Dwayne, it's not looking good for him with Washington. They're under a new management, not only changing over the coach, but they changed over the GM. They're changing over the mascot and everything like that. They didn't draft him. He's not their guy. So losing him isn't going to look bad. We talked about this with Baker. Like, the guys in charge of the Browns, they didn't draft him. So losing him, it's not going to look that bad on them because, hey, man, he wasn't our guy. He's another GM's guy. Now, everything that's going on with the Giants, their GM is still in place. If they were to go off of Danny Dimes, that's going to look bad on him. Yeah. He had to make it admit. So Baker, Dwayne, if they leave, that people aren't going to say anything about it. They're going to be like, oh, man, it just didn't work out. On to the next.
Doug Sphere, I think I pronounced your name right. Says message just now in the Breeze in San Diego. In New Orleans. To be fair, and Doug, another very good one.
That's a good one.
But isn't that injury related, right?
But I would buy that one. I would buy that one for sure. I mean, Drew Brees, as much as I talk about him being over the hill now, when he was playing quarterback at Purdue, he was putting up like the passing numbers that are being put up at, the Texas Techs and the Mississippi States now. He was doing that in the late 90s, 2000s at Purdue. Got drafted in the second round to the San Diego Chargers. They drafted LaDainian first. He came in there. They were a solid team. He got hurt. He was initially going to go to Miami. They passed up on him because he failed the physical. He ends up in New Orleans, ends up becoming an MVP of the league, MVP of the Super Bowl. He was a pretty good quarterback at the Chargers, but nothing spectacular because obviously they drafted Phillip Rivers. They planned on drafting Phillip Rivers. They hit their head on the ceiling. They thought they needed a bigger and better quarterback. And, Drew is still playing the NFL.
Brian Baum, I believe. Brian Baum, he says Drew Brees started so another Drew Brees, a couple Drew Brees.
Yeah, I'm with that one.
As far as that goes. So
that's a good one.
That's similar. But so the point is when people say, hey, go out and get Dwayne Haskins, he'll do better there. Sometimes you are who you are. More times than not, you are who you are in the pros. Whether it is on the team, it could be a developmental issue because of where you end up and the team's not good and they're not coaching you up. That could be an issue too. But sometimes you just don't see the bounce back. Like, that's why it's so crucial. As much as I bash guys who try to throw their weight around coming into the league and say, I will not play if we go there, I'm very surprised it doesn't happen more. And when you look at guys like Daniel Jones and you look at guys like Dwayne Haskins, people, there's no sympathy for Baker. If Baker was more likable, we would just tack Baker's struggles up to, well, look, it's Cleveland. But he's not going to get that benefit of the doubt because unlike Dwayne Haskins, he had no talent around him. Unlike Dwayne Haskins, who had no talent around him, Daniel Jones, who has no talent around him, all these quarterbacks were, Sam Darnold, no talent around him. Baker got treated the best. Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield got treated the best of everyone from that draft class. Like, as far as talent around them. You had one organization, the Ravens, who's just a good organization, that invested completely into Lamar, who literally changed their entire – give Harbaugh credit because most coaches, they coach one way and one way only. He totally changed his whole approach to coaching to fit around Lamar Jackson. And I find that very, good for him because Joe Flacco, it's night and day different. As far as the style of offenses that him and Lamar run. So I give them a lot of credit. Doug says Johnny Unitas was drafted by the Steelers and Art Rooney cut him. The rest is history.
Really? Didn't know that.
So thank you for that one. Brian Schwederman says Flacco flamed out but made the playoffs for the Sentinels. He has my heart. he has heart. He has heart, he said. My thing is this. Who just said this too about, I got to go back up. Tebow, he talked about Tebow had more playoff wins than Dalton when I talked about Tebow earlier. Which, by the way, you want to know what's going to happen?
He beat my Steelers, man.
I remember that game vividly.
I do too.
The ugliest throw, but man, he was making
it was
the
a
throws.
Dime. He threw a dime that day. I tell you that.
You know what's going to happen, Bengals fans? You can cue the music because we're going to come back and do our top 5, bottom 5 for real this time. You know what's going to happen? Jason Pruitt says, look, Tebow has more playoff wins than Dalton. We all know that was the Dalton storyline in Cincinnati. Made the playoffs 5 straight years, couldn't get a win. You know what's going to happen? The Cowboys are going to make the playoffs and win the division with like 5 wins this year. And all of a sudden, Dallas is going to click in the playoffs, and Andy Dalton will get a win in the playoffs this year. And I can think of no bigger slap to the face of the Bengals than Andy Dalton on a team that is 10 times worse than anything he played with in Cincinnati, somehow finding a way to win their division, host a playoff game, and get a win. And it would just be so Bengals-like for Andy Dalton to leave, to go to an even worse team, not organization, because the Bengals, it doesn't get much worse than the organization for Cincinnati, to go to a worse team in Dallas and end up winning a playoff game. It's so unlikely. Dallas is straight garbage, but my goodness, can you imagine?
What would Andy Dalton do if he was the quarterback of the Browns right now?
It pains me to say this, but
Red Rifle coming to town.
I would pick, if I had to, I would take Andy Dalton over Keenum any day of the week.
What about over?
Which ultimately means I'm saying at this point, if we believe that Keenum is, the savior to Baker, I'm ultimately saying at this point with this offense, if Baker looks like that again, Dalton might have this team looking better. Now, it's tough to say that after the way Dalton looked last night. But again, very similar to the Baker thing from this past weekend. Everyone was down and out last night for Dallas. Everyone was down and out for Cleveland against Pittsburgh.
Shouts out to the fumbler. That's his new nickname, Zeke. He's the fumbler now.
Shouldn't have paid him. I said it back then. The Cowboys are the dumbest team in the NFL for giving that dude his money. He has issues on and off the field. Not the biggest issues for some of the people with off the field issues, but I'm telling you right now, they should have never given him that money.
Remember he got arrested in Las Vegas?
Yeah.
My little cousin saw him get arrested that night. She was at that concert he was at. She was like, I think I just saw that one dude with the hair that went to Ohio State. I was like, huh? Running back guy. I was like, Ezekiel? It's like, yeah, him. He's getting arrested right now.
David Shaw says, I agree with that. Dalton would be better than Keenum, but Keenum is better than Baker. I don't believe Keenum's better than Baker. I think Keenum would turn the ball over less, which you can argue would ultimately make him better. But I'm telling you right now, that Keenum is not – he's not anything special. Like, the Browns will not look anything different with Keenum running this offense than Baker. Just wouldn't. The Browns will make the playoffs this year. They'll make it with Baker Mayfield, but they will not advance in the playoffs. They will not win a Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield. But they will make the playoffs with Baker Mayfield. You know why? Because they don't have to play the Steelers again until week 16 or 17. So there you go.
Yeah.
Thank God for that.
When they play the Ravens again.
Top 5, bottom 5 next.
Oh, look, it's the Justin Killer Show with Kev Nash. We've been expecting you. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be cloudy with a high near 58. Tonight will be mostly cloudy with a chance of showers, a low around 56. And tomorrow will be mostly cloudy with a chance of showers, a high near 71. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather brought to you by Cullet Seal Coating, protecting the asphalt surfaces around your home, office, or commercial property. Crack filling, asphalt sealing, and parking lot striping. Find us at culletsealcoating.com.
Make it a Redbox night with an edge-of-your-seat action thriller that can't be missed. Rent Ava, starring Jessica Chastain. Ava is a notorious assassin who travels the globe specializing in high-profile hits. However, when a job goes dangerously wrong, she is forced to fight for her own survival. Rent Ava, along with other new movies. Tonight, head to one of the 40,000 Redbox locations. Stream on your smart TV or visit redbox.com for all the ways to watch.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
Good night.
There's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
Other banks charge fees on savings and checking accounts. Doesn't sound good, does it? Capital One reimagined banking. So it sounds more like this. With Capital One, you can open an account with no fees or minimums in 5 minutes. Get started now at a Capital One location or online. Sound good to you? This is banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
For consumers only. Approval required. Offered by Capital One NA, member FDIC. Copyright 2018 Capital One.
Election Day is November 3rd. If you plan to vote by mail, plan ahead at usps.com/votinginfo. There, you will find helpful resources, such as guidance for successfully using the mail, links to find your state's rules and deadlines, information for military and overseas voters, and more. The U.S. Postal Service is ready to deliver for you. Make sure you're ready too. Start today at usps.com/votinginfo.
Welcome to another Fantastic Four golf hole experience with the Buy Golf for Half Bogey Boys.
Me and the guys are in Greenville, Ohio today playing beautiful Turtle Creek Golf Club. This course was recently rated the 4th best public golf course in the state of Ohio. We're on the first tee, and you can see how well this course is maintained. Hole number 1 is a long par 5 with water on the right, off the tee and in front of the green. There are lots of trees, both left and right. I got lucky, and my tee shot went down the middle for a change, avoiding the trees. My second shot stayed low and didn't go very far, but I have a straight shot to the green. I play short of the green to avoid the water. Next shot up and on, but well below the hole. I 2-putt in for my bogey. Not a bad way at all to start the day. You should get your pals together, book a tee time, and come out and play Turtle Creek. Stay tuned for more Fantastic Four golf hole experiences with the Buy Golf for Half Bogey Boys. See you at the next hole.
Visit buygolfforhalf.com for half-price golf packages from Turtle Creek and other great local golf courses around the Miami Valley.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations, serving the greater Dayton and Cincinnati area, is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the best value in bath and shower remodeling, and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that is safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase. Visit on Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com and upgrade today.
Hi, Joey Beckett here at Buckeye Ford in Sydney, home of the Works Package and the Double Take Tire Specials. Call today for your appointment, 937-419-8473 or 1-800-700-0050. Buckeye Ford in Sydney, exit 92 off of I-75. We'll see you soon.
Hi, this is Chris Bermick, co-owner of Butler Heating and Air Conditioning. I support LaRonda Jackson for state representative. LaRonda is reliable and responsive when called upon. Her follow-up said a lot to me about her commitment to local businesses. LaRonda Jackson is a successful business owner, and I appreciate her desire to create a better community for all of us. If you live in District 40 and want vision, unity, and values, vote LaRonda Jackson for state representative.
Paid for by Friends of LaRonda Jackson.
I'm Charla. I'm a Park National banker, and I'm a new grandma. At Park National Bank, we believe that we're more than our job titles, and you're more than an account number. Now, bringing our family of community banks together under a single brand name means you get those core values you always counted on from us, and more service, more access, and more options. We're all together now at Park National Bank, where you mean more.
I worry about lots of things. My finances, my grandkids.
If you're 65 or older, you have enough things to worry about. Pneumococcal pneumonia shouldn't be one of them. Even healthy adults 65 and older are at increased risk for this potentially serious bacterial lung disease that can disrupt your life for weeks. Help protect yourself with the Prevnar 13 pneumococcal 13-valent conjugate vaccine, diphtheria CRM 197 protein. Prevnar 13 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 13 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Prevnar 13 does not protect against all strains of the disease. Don't get Prevnar 13 if you have had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with a weakened immune system may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-866-694-9300 or visit Prevnar13.com. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 13.
Try Canada Dry Bold Ginger with an extra kick of real ginger taste that blow the butterscotch out of your grandma's bowl. Canada Dry Bold Ginger, not your grandma's ginger ale.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays at 3 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
So you want to talk about outliers? Those guys are outliers. You're lucky that this thing's separating us. That's all I got to say. More facts, though. I got your facts right here.
Listen, stream, and now watch. Search the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook to follow along. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We close out the show today. NFL top 5, bottom 5. Kev, get us started.
Browns, Bengals.
That's the wrong
That's
thing,
the wrong one.
Isn't it?
Come on, Baker. You got to be better than that. No, we don't. You screwed it up, Baker.
From the top.
Pick 6 right there.
Minka Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, hit the record button. Let's hit the record button and let's record this. Man, you are Bakering it up today. Oh my goodness.
Then you must love me.
No, we got a Case Keenum anywhere. Yeah. All right, folks. 457-9464. That's the number to call in and join in the conversation. It's time for our top 5, bottom 5. Kev Nash, get us started after 6 weeks of NFL action. Your top 5 teams in the NFL are who?
My Pittsburgh Steelers have made their way to my top 5 with a tremendous victory over your Cleveland Browns. Number 4, I don't overreact to losses, but they almost fell out my top 5, but they're still in there. Green Bay falls from number 1 to number 4. Staying steady at number 3, the Seattle Seahawks. Number 2, Tennessee Titans. What a tremendous victory. Going to be a great matchup this weekend with Tennessee and Pittsburgh. Definitely can't wait for that. Actually, whoever wins that matchup this week's going to be my new number 1 team in the NFL, by the way. And the champs back at number 1.
So that's simple. So Kev Nash's top 5 right now, as we said, the Kansas City Chiefs at number 1, deservedly so. The Titans come in at number 2, Seahawks 3, Packers 4, and Steelers 5. I'll give you my top 5. My top 5 features the Kansas City Chiefs coming in at number 1. The only team on the top 5 for you or me that actually has a big win on the year, of a win of substance, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Fair.
I have to put them at number 2. And I'm not doing that just because yesterday was Ron's birthday. We did miss Ron's birthday yesterday. Shout out to Ron.
Hey.
Bucks fan Ron. Rays fan Ron. It's a good time to be Ron, apparently.
Absolutely.
But the Buccaneers, I have to put it number 2 because it's not just that they beat the Packers. They I had the Packers in my top 5 for weeks now, and they destroyed them. So I have to put Tampa Bay, at number 2. I was waiting because Tampa they looked a little They looked a little iffy. They lost to the Saints early in the year. Or what's that? What's the 4? Oh, they didn't know what down it is. Yeah, I'm penalizing him. So no. So as far as that goes, but no, I have to go with Tampa number 2. Pittsburgh's number 3. That defense. I have to put Pittsburgh in at number 3. Seattle putting in at number 4, 5-0. I am always amazed by this, is that the Seattle Seahawks, that Russell Wilson, this is the worst roster in Seattle he's ever played on. This is the worst roster, and they're 5-0 for the first time in franchise history. The worst roster he's ever played on, but yet they're 5-0. I don't think this is the best team he's ever played on, worst roster he's ever played on, but they're clicking on all cylinders right now. Russell Wilson playing an MVP-like level. Bye week this past week. We'll get a chance to see him in action coming up this weekend. And at number 5, I had a rule against putting this team in my top 5, but I couldn't. They got 2 wins in 4 days. They looked really good. They beat the Bills, and then, of course, they had to fight off a good team, and a team, but they got the win.
Yeah, it was an outstanding game.
So I should punish Tennessee for taking overtime to beat a bad Texans team, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, especially when you have to play 2 games in 5 days or whatever. Yeah. We talk about, oh man, gotta play Monday Night Football. It's a short week. You still get 5 or 6 full days to prepare for a game. They played Tuesday, which was their fault, by the way. But they played Tuesday, by the way, regardless of whose fault it was. And then they turn around. They have 3 days or 4 days to prepare, and then they're right back at it again. I got to put Titans in my top 5. But the only team that has a win of substance right now is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Schrody, he does say that the Titans smoked the Bills. I'm not just saying this because it's the Titans. I don't know how good the Bills are now. That may be unfair, but I think a lot of people now are scratching their head with the Bills. Like, okay, the 2 realest teams they've played, they got punched in the mouth now. So it's like, okay, are they just like the Browns and some of these other teams
but
that
they beat the Rams?
Good? I don't know how good the Rams are either. I'm not like anti-Rams, but that division, I just look at it and I'm like, it's the most consistent from top to bottom. Everyone's over 500. They've outscored, that whole division has outscored all their opponents by 186. I'm not putting money. I'll never bet on the Rams on a week-to-week basis. I just can't. I don't know why. They make me a little weary. Tyler says, yeah, but they weren't saying that before that game. Okay, and that's why it would have been impressive before that game, but now it's not impressive. The Bills have lost back-to-back. Shirley, if the Bills if they did not end up losing back-to-back weeks, I'd be with you. But they've lost back-to-back games against 2 good teams, and they didn't look good in either one of them. It's not like they lost close. It's kind of like Cleveland. I'm wearing on. They didn't. I don't care that they lost to Pittsburgh. It's the way they lost to Pittsburgh. So that's where I'm at as far as that goes. But yeah. All right, so that was both of our top 5s. One more time, Kev Nash's top 5, the Chiefs, the Titans, the Seahawks, Packers, and Steelers. My top 5, the Chiefs, the Buccaneers, the Steelers, Seahawks, and Titans, as far as that's concerned. All right, Kev, your bottom 5 teams, your worst 5 teams in the NFL.
Woo-wee. All right. Holding strong at 32, the New York Football Jets. Getting closer to the New York Football Jets, the Washington Football Team at 31. 30, Jacksonville Jaguars. Since they got a win, they move up, down. I don't even know how it works, but the New York Football Giants, since they got a win over the Washington Football Team. NFC Least is represented very well in this bottom 5, as you can see. I really want to make a switch, but I won't. I'll keep it this way. I'll keep the Vikings at 28 because oh, man, Kirk Cousins. You said you saw the tweet, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like when he was down here slanging the interceptions as usual, I just had to put it out there. So that is the only reason I'm going to keep the Vikings at 28 because I almost flipped it and put the Cowboys at 28. But I'll keep Minnesota at 28.
All right, so one more time, Kev Nash's bottom 5, 32. Again, 32 teams in the NFL. The worst team in the NFL, according to Kev, the New York Jets. 31, Washington. The Washington Football Team. The Jaguars come in at number 30, number 29, the Giants, and number 28, the Vikings. All right, so you ready for my bottom 5?
Yes, sir.
The Kinner bottom 5, the Jets, and number 32. The NFC East stays put. The NFC East is the second to worst entire team. I'm putting them all in as one.
You know what? Last week I ragged on you, but you know what? It's fair.
They all equally suck.
Yes.
And to be fair, though, I think the Eagles are starting to figure out a tad.
Yeah.
So by next week, I might be able to pull the Eagles out of that and then just disperse all the other teams.
Yeah, because that dude that I can't pronounce his name that keeps just catching all these bombs.
Oh, I had it yesterday. I'm not even trying.
Whatever his name is, out of Old Dominion, I believe he went to school. Yeah, I like him.
So the Falcons, I still have, even though they got their win, I still have them coming in at number 30. Jaguars look straight garbage. And I still have Cincinnati at number 28. That's not a good team. These are all bad teams. No, Carson Wentz. We know who Carson Wentz is. We're not talking about Carson. We're talking about the tight end or whoever. No, Ertz is out, by the way. He's out.
Ertz. The wide receiver.
Not Ertz, but the wide receiver.
Yeah, the wide receiver for Philadelphia. We were talking about it yesterday. So I got a question for you. I penalize the Vikings and the Cowboys more than I penalize the Bengals because they have a ton of talent. Not a couple guys like the Bengals do, but they have a ton of talent. And not only talent, but they got big-time names. They got guys with big-time contracts. I penalize those teams more for losing games than I do the Bengals. That's why the Bengals aren't in my bottom 5.
You have Atkins and Dunlap. You have A.J. Green. You have Tyler Boyd. You have Joe Mixon. You have T. Higgins. You have Joe Burrow. The Bengals have a lot of talent. The coaching staff is choosing not to use Geno Atkins or Dunlap on a roster that is already very bad defensively, and they are like, I have no clue what the thought process is there. The offensive line, the team, again, I know people are getting tired of hearing the same thing every day. The bottom line is everyone knows my opinion on the team didn't address a lot of the biggest needs that this team had. And yes, I know injuries have played a role, but again, when you strip all those things away, this is what's left. And I penalize. I think it's worse to lose. I mean, if all those teams, by the way, imagine if Minshew had A.J. Green and Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins and Joe Mixon. The Jaguars wouldn't be where they're at right now. Matt Ryan, who, by the way, if he has Julio Jones, he's been injured for most of the season. So, but he's in a similar spot too, where he's losing with talent. But the Falcons are bad all the way around too. That organization, they have not been the same since that Super Bowl. But the NFC East, Cowboys have a lot of talent. They're injured. The Eagles, hit by injuries. The Giants, same thing. But the Jets. Imagine if Sam Darnold is sitting there saying, "Man, please, I'm begging you." Travis Fulgham, by the way. Thanks, Sean.
There you go.
Sam Darnold would kill to play with A.J. Green and Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins and Joe Mixon. He would kill for that.
But look what Minnesota has. I mean, we can talk about how trash Kirk Cousins is. I think he's trash. Some people think he's great. They have Kirk Cousins, who's a big-time paid quarterback. They got Dalvin Cook. They just drafted Justin Jefferson out of the champions LSU. They signed Thielen to a big contract. Like, they got a ton of guys. That people are household names. We know these names like with Cincinnati, like Tyler Boyd, because we live here. He's not a household name, but Thielen and Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook are all household names. Eric Kendricks, like, he's a big time paid linebacker. Like, they're not winning games by paying tons of money, and these guys are household names. So I penalize them.
I don't think all those guys are household names. And by the way, I don't think a lot of number 2 wide receivers are household names. Juju Smith-Schuster is the best number 2 receiver, and that's just because his name's cool. Like, like that's a name you don't forget. But like Boyd, Boyd got paid handsomely. But I mean, the Bengals paid him good. Like
not as much as they didn't pay Thielen. Thielen got paid out the wazoo.
Well, I mean, we're not going to get into a who paid more contest with the Bengals. I mean, we're lucky that they even opened up their wallet to begin with. Now, hey, by the way, Shorty says, wait, so now A.J. Green is a talent, but the last couple of weeks it's been that he's washed. He is washed, and he is a talent. The bottom line is that's why the Bengals are in the bottom 5. A.J. Green is talent, but he's not playing well enough. There's all this talent that's not playing well enough. That's on the organization. It's on Zach Taylor. It's on the Bengals. That's why they're in my bottom 5. They have talent. Joe Burrow has talent. Stop making excuses for a guy that has talent around him. Stop. That's dumb. Daniel Jones has no talent around him. Sam Darnold has no talent around him. Joe Burrow has talent. Stop.
Cowboys.
Huh?
Cowboys got a ton of talent.
Yeah, and the offense wasn't why they were losing, though.
Oh, it is now.
They had the number 1 offense in the NFL from a stat perspective.
Shouts out to the fumbler, Zeke.
Yep, and the red rifle. Little pellet gun now.
Yeah, once a Buckeye, always a Buckeye. Hey, Zeke.
Imagine if Baker had that much talent. Oh, wait. Okay, Schrody. Listen, like, are we going to keep I mean, Kenner's already admitted that I'm 90% wrong. I'll be 100% wrong by the end of the year if, Oh, you're wrapping me. Yeah, you're lucky too, because I have so much more to say. Hey, I want to be fair here real quick. Vincent Waller, thank you for the. So we give our top 5, bottom 5. Vincent Waller says his top 10, or his top 1, Kansas City, or his top 5, sorry. Kansas City 1, Pittsburgh 2, Seattle 3, Tampa Bay 4, Tennessee coming in at number 5. So nice. Vincent, that's nice. His bottom 5, Dallas comes in. Philadelphia, Washington, Falcons, and Jets. So very similar to mine. That's why I just said, you know what? This is dumb because the NFC East is going to take up our bottom 5 the entire time. So, that's basically where I'm at with that. So, hey, Vince, thank you. So, yeah, interesting nonetheless as far as that's concerned. All right, folks, we'll be back tomorrow from 3 to 6. Thank you for tuning in. Had some fun today. Made a lot of enemies, and that's okay. I thought Bengals fans knew their team was bad. I feel like I'm like breaking secrets to them every day. Like I thought they knew their team was bad, but they are the king of, well, we almost won. We almost got the interception. We almost had an offensive line. We almost got to break on time. We'll be back tomorrow, folks. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's the Justin